Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott and we are here for the Weekend Kickoff, a show breaking down all the big news flying around WrestleMania. Of course, it's going to be a huge weekend in pro wrestling and we're going to be breaking that down right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, welcome back to the channel, guys. It is time for the Weekend Kickoff show. Now, WWE themselves are going to be doing their own kickoff show in a few hours' time, and I will be doing a watch-along stream for that as well. But for now, it's all about breaking down all the latest news and rumors on this Friday night as we enter into WrestleMania weekend. Then, of course, on Saturday, we'll have our build-up show, an instant reaction, and the same for Sunday as well. But before we kick off those two shows, it's kind of time to just think about where we are in this build towards WrestleMania, right? At time of recording, we are a few hours away from SmackDown, but a go home for Raw is in the books, and there's loads of rumors flying around about availability for certain wrestlers on this card as well. Rumors about injuries, rumors about new signings that might be taking people's places on this card, and a few shenanigans that might be going down as well. So we'll talk about that throughout this stream. But I want to know what you're most looking forward to at WrestleMania 42. What day are you most looking forward to? Is it Saturday or Sunday? We'll start off by talking about WrestleMania Saturday, and then of course we'll touch on day 2 as well. If you are watching this as part of the replay on the build-up show, you'll be able to stay tuned for a live portion of that show as well. If you're joining me in my timeline, then here we are. It's time to kick off the weekend. It's, again, the most exciting time of the year, right, for a wrestling fan. Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, that's what it's all about. SummerSlam's great, Survivor Series is too, and don't get me wrong, some of those B and C peelies in between are fun as well, but WrestleMania is where it's at. But we got to be honest, let's hit you with it straight away. A lot of people aren't too pleased with the build, which sometimes, I know we get in this kind of weird way of looking at things as wrestling fans, but sometimes it means the show's really good because you don't expect it to be, right? So yeah, we'll see. I was looking back on my reaction to the last 4 or 5 WrestleManias on this very channel to see what my mood was when I came out of each night, and it was generally really good except for night 2 last year because of the main event. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case this year. I think both days have potential to make me feel like that, but both days also have potential to make me feel really happy about what I've seen on my screen as well. So I'm hoping it's the latter. But let's get into night 1 of WrestleMania. Again, lots of rumors going around at the moment. We'll touch on those when it comes to the actual matches that they involve as well. But again, I want to know what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania 42 and what you're most looking forward to as well. As I mentioned though, later on, we'll also be hitting you with a kickoff show watch along for the WWE's kickoff. But this is your Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel's Weekend Kickoff stream first of all. Right, let's move into the card for WrestleMania Saturday, and we're starting with a big one, guys. Seth freaking Rollins versus Gunther. Now, of course, this isn't the order that things are going to go in for sure. Well, it might be starting with this, I don't know, but we're just going to kind of go through a few of them in a random order here. It's not necessarily what I think is going to happen. We'll talk a bit more about that on the build-up show, where there will, I'm sure, be leaks about, you know, what order matches are going to be in, and that does kind of play into predictions and stuff like that as well. But before we do that, let's just go with how we see it at the moment. We at least know what day things are on. They did it a little bit earlier this year, right? Sometimes it's been quite like late, like the day before, but they did it, maybe it was a week before. People knew which night was which I think is probably the best way to do it, if I'm honest. Certainly helps us make content. But let's get into it. Seth Rollins versus Gunther. I've got to be honest, guys, this is a match that I'm slowly starting to get involved in as far as my emotions, but I wasn't at first. I mean, to be fair, like I say that, but I still have the same thoughts that I had when it first got announced of like, why? Now I know they've turned it into this kind of like, well, I'm the best. No, I'm the best, and they're two guys that kind of pride themselves on kind of being that. As you should as a pro wrestler anyway, but it's kind of part of their characters, but in different ways. They both are, always talking about how they carry the company, or that, in Seth Rollins' case, or they're just the best wrestler in the world in kind of Gunther's kind of case as far as his personality goes. So I guess it's for that, you could say. There's no title on the lines. But what's really weird is that both these guys had stories going, that I felt would be going into WrestleMania. You had Division, and yes, that's kind of fallen apart because of injury. Might play into this match though. And then you got Gunther, who was on a retirement run, not his, but retiring other people, and he just took a little bit of a detour. So it seems a little bit odd for that reason. But hey, at least they've kind of found the story for it. But I just can't see this ever have being a plan beyond, when they pulled the trigger on it starting. I don't think this is what they wanted to do 2 months ago, for example. I don't know how long ago this feud started. It wasn't that long, was it? But for example, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever you kind of look back on, it didn't look like these two paths were going to cross, and suddenly they are. And I hope they have a good match because of it. I think they actually will, have a point to prove, and maybe a bit of a chip on their shoulders themselves. Again, Seth's is down to not only his injury, but the vision. You'd imagine he would have done something with them. And even the way they brought him back, it was all about the vision. Well, they just did it to get over and done with. And then you got Gunther, as I say, like, it definitely doesn't seem like he would have been facing Seth. So it just seems really bizarre that they're throwing them together. But that's not to say, again, the match itself won't be fun. When we talk about who's going to win, though, I hit you my predictions here as well. I think it should be Gunther, because I don't think Seth Rollins needs to win. He's coming back off of a injury stint, and they could play into that. They can say he was, not up to scratch just yet. And I think Gunther does, because you could argue well he doesn't, because he's done all these big things, but that also is what needs protecting, in my opinion. The fact he retired Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles, which is so crazy now that I'm saying it out loud, that he's been on that run. He can't then just lose the regular match to Seth Rollins, in my opinion. So I think he needs to beat Seth, and then go on to, the rumor of a Brock Lesnar match. But we'll touch on that later on, because, the over Femi stuff kind of plays into that as well, in my opinion. But when it comes to this match here, again, I think Gunther should win. I'm going to trust WWE here and assume they will give it to Gunther, because they seem to want him win every other time. So why not here? But they could be just seeing, feel good moments. Seth Rollins is back, and again, it's one of those where it's like, where is it on the card? That kind of plays into it sometimes. But for the time being, I'm going to say Gunther is winning between him and the returning Seth Rollins. Talking of Vision, though, we do have some Vision representation on this card. It's a 6-man tag, and this just shows you how far things have fallen with Division. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way about like speed or the match that they're in or anything like that, but clearly it's nothing to do with their original plans. Like, this is not the Vision, unless the Vision was all over the card. Bron was doing one thing and Bronson was doing another. Maybe Seth doesn't get injured, he's still in the group or whatever else, and maybe these two guys, Austin and Logan, are in a tag match, or in this match. But the speed thing is just so away from their original plans for the Vision at WrestleMania. I don't mind it. I think he's performed quite well. I think the LA Knight stuff's been quite funny with him. The Usos, strange, right? Jay had that confrontation on that podcast, which definitely, surely it was a work. He's been acting heelish for a long time. Still, to turn him, I think, would be crazy, just because of the merch and the entrance. But, they've done stuff like that before, but they've also tried their best not to. Look at Rey Mysterio, look at John Cena, how they've tried to stay away from turning them heel for so long. But yeah, let's bring it back to the match itself. I think this will be a fun one. Credit where it's due. Logan Paul is entertaining. I think his speed's quite entertaining. Everything he's done in WWE so far has been pretty good. Austin Theory is an unsung hero in many ways. And look, they're going up against one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and someone as charismatic and entertaining as LA Knight. So there's a lot of, potential to be entertained in this match. It's just a bit thrown together in some ways. But if they're just making the best out of a bad situation, then so be it. I understand linking up Logan Paul and Speed in this. It's going to be a lot of talk over this weekend about celebrity involvement, I'm sure. So I won't dive into it too much now, but I'm not against this, to be honest. I don't mind. I think Speed could comically play into. I think him turning straight up like heel would be a bit weird. Like if he joined the Vision or something like that, maybe that's too much. If he cost the Vision by accident, or tries to just at least defend himself, because LA Knight's a good guy, but he acts like a bit of a bagger. He's a bit of a tweener in some ways, if you will, attitude wise. And they're kind of walking that tightrope between him and Speed, because Speed is kind of portraying himself as a nice guy who's just caught up in this mess. So yeah, that could kind of go either way, really. But I do wonder if the Usos is, the important part of this here. Do we see Jey Uso turn? Does he turn on his brother? Does he turn on LA Knight and his brother kind of, is part of that? I don't know. But I do think that's probably the most interesting part to this story. Other than it just seeming like a celebrity involvement match, though, and squeezing and shoehorning people in where they can. I mean, again, to put the Vision in this position as the only representation of the Vision on the card, I know it's all they can do, but they look like they were going to be involved in the biggest story going into WrestleMania, one of the biggest stories, and they're definitely not. Again, we could see Bron Breakker come back. We could see him, if he's healthy, I don't know, maybe could return and screw Seth or something like that, and this is just the Seth and Gunther thing just kind of gets into that next point, which it probably is anyway. They probably will go back to the Vision stuff anyway, but maybe they know like Bronson or Bron. I can't remember the state of either of them, to be fair, but like maybe one of them could get involved at WrestleMania to a kind of a light physical level, but they can't quite have a match, and this is the kind of the way to do it. But yeah, we'll have to see. And again, it'd be interesting when we look at the order, whether or not this match goes on before the one with Seth Rollins, and again, whether or not it'll factor into it. But let's commit. Let's go in with a prediction. I'm gonna say the winners. Well, I do think Jey Uso could be turning heel. I think I'm going to just go with the babyfaces winning this one. You know what? At the same time, I could see Speed accidentally winning one of those kind of things. But, like, someone has to look like a mug to do that. And it's either the Usos or LA Knight. And I just don't see it. Like, if he was a good guy, and he's kind of being a good guy, but he was facing against, he was on the babyface team, and he was like, oh my gosh, I've accidentally done it. I could see that a bit more, but yeah, not too sure on this. So I'm just going to go safe with it. I'm going to say the babyfaces are going to win, and there'll be some sort of shenanigans with the Vision / Speed. Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan. This match here is one that's probably got some of the most story behind it. Of course, you've got just the way that Liv went about things in the first place. Whether or not she was going to go after Jade Cargill or Stephanie Vaquer. It's been quite an intense feud, like really kind of a blood feud, if you will. It was a nasty bump, quite literally, on the head of Liv Morgan the other day. She's been great in her performance. Stephanie as well has done really well. The Judgment Day kind of factors into this storyline a little bit, but maybe not as much as previous Judgment Day feuds, because the Judgment Day are kind of got other things going on, of course, with Finn Balor and Dom as well. So I'm not sure if the idea here is for Liv to eventually break away from the Judgment Day. It looked like that when she come back. Of course, they teased it with the John Cena thing, but I did still feel like she had a plan. There was something going on in Liv's mind when she came back and was all rosy with Roxanne being in the group and stuff like that. So, I mean, of course, that scene where she bumped her head into Roxanne was her telling her, Roxanne, about the I guess the dynamics now of the Judgment Day, now that Finn was out of it, because Finn brought her in. So it does feel like that could go somewhere, but she's such a bad guy at the moment. Especially in this feud against Stephanie Vaquer, she's such a bad guy. Like, this can't be the moment where she turns babyface. It doesn't really make sense. So she'd have to, like, either lose and then just kind of start changing her character and sowing those seeds again, or win the title and do that as a champion. And the only way that kind of works is if, like, they are jealous and try and take it off of her, and they're listening. She's listening in on them, like Bayley was with Damage Control a few years ago. That kind of thing. Maybe they could do something like that, but yeah, not entirely sure. In the chat here, we've got Real Madrista 95 says breaking news: Paige returns to WWE. So yeah, I alluded to it at the top of the show. There's a lot of rumors going on at the moment. Thanks for your comments, buddy. Appreciate that. Lot of rumors going on at the moment that Paige has re-signed with WWE. Now this is going to factor into one of our predictions in a bit, so hold fire for now. But there's even rumors about her wrestling at WrestleMania. Can you believe it? This story is developing very, very fast. But I stress the word rumors. We never know with these things. I do wonder if she was signed, but the idea was for her to come back at Raw after Mania, be a surprise there, and maybe they're going to shoehorn her into WrestleMania. We'll have to see. Again, we'll talk about where that could be happening on this card due to injury as well. But thanks for your comment, buddy. Appreciate it. Let me know what you're looking forward to at WrestleMania on both the Saturday and the Sunday. Right, let's get back to Saturday previews, though. Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship. I actually think Liv Morgan's going to win this one. I think it's going to be a big moment for her. She's had a lot of big moments lately. Of course, Royal Rumble was one of them. When she was champion before, she won the Crown Jewel Championship. So she's ticking them off. And I think, yeah, while she doesn't need it, I think she deserves it as a character. I think there's... it's been a mountain to climb back up for Liv, and I think she's performed really well. It's a shame it's at the expense of Stephanie Vaquer, because I think she's been a great champion, and I think she's got so much potential. But I do have a slight feeling that lately they're not getting cold feet about her, but they're just she doesn't seem as much of the flavor of the month as she was maybe 6 months ago. Little things like, I mean, I don't know. I don't, and I'm not trying to put blame on anyone, but I don't know how that would have gone down backstage. The accident where I guess she must have pushed Liv too hard into Roxanne Perez. There's been a few other things like that. I just can't think off the top of my head, but I know there's been a few where I've been thinking, I wonder how WWE have reacted to that backstage. I mean, they've changed their theme song. I know there's rumors going around about it being kind of because some sort of copyright. I'm not quite sure if that's the case, but either way, hate the fact they've changed it. The old one was fantastic. Presentation was amazing. But yeah, I don't know if it isn't that, they just, because it was such a big song and dance, no pun intended, about her keeping her song when she came up from NXT. It just feels like a weird decision to go back on that if it isn't for copyright reasons or whatever it is. So it kind of makes me think that they're not as kind of, if that's the case, if it's not anything like that, then that they wouldn't take faults into account, which means that they're maybe not as kind of, I don't know, smitten with Stephanie Vaquer at the moment. If they're just like, we're changing your song, rather than like Stephanie being able to fight it. I don't know. Could be wrong there again, because no idea when the music would change. But it's just these few things that make me think maybe Stephanie Vaquer's time is up at the moment with that title. But yeah, I think it'll freshen things up as well if Liv Morgan is the champion. Maybe Stephanie going into the sympathetic babyface chasing will be a better spot for her. I mean, she's kind of been that way already because she was injured, of course, a while back, and she was getting attacked while she was injured by Liv Morgan. So they've kind of already played into that in some sense, but it's hard to do that when you're the champion. So her not having the title gives them another opportunity to do that as well. So I'm going to go Liv Morgan with this one. WrestleMania Saturday also features a fatal four-way for the Women's Tag Team Championships. You've got the irresistible forces of Lash Legend and Nia Jax defending against Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Lyra Valkyria, Bayley, and the Bella Twins. But I mentioned earlier on that there are loads of rumors flying around at the moment about potential injuries. Now, Nikki Bella is said to be injured, and this was something that had been reported at least over a week ago now. And I just assumed that it meant that they would downplay her involvement in the match, and they were just going to kind of get on with it. There are rumors flying around at the moment. Again, at time of recording, this is 20 minutes past 7 here in the UK. We're a few hours away from the kickoff show that WWE are going to do, and we're a few hours away from SmackDown still as well. We may even see some announcements there. But at time of recording, they've not really said anything about Nikki Bella officially that I've seen anyway, unless it's happened since I went live. And the rumor is that they will swap out Nikki Bella for Paige. Now, I think it'd be a fun surprise. Yeah, Paige coming back. I'm looking forward to that anyway. I've been, someone that's wanted that for a while. Raw after Mania last year, we talked about it. WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, I should say, we talk about it there as well. I would have preferred it to have been Raw after WrestleMania. But if they need a replacement, then I guess I can see why they'd get kind of itchy to do that. But at the same time, it doesn't fit for me. Like, the point of this match is the Bella twins. We don't need Brie Bella and someone else. And that someone else being someone that just doesn't fit that story. Because, yeah, they're from the same generation, the same era. But, yeah, doesn't match up for me. I just don't. And, like, you got to return as a babyface, right? For the pop, at least. So coming out to save the bad guy, Brie Bella, just seems a bit weird to me. They'd have to basically commit to it in story and should have to hang out with the Bellas for a long time. So for me, I don't want them to do it here. But that might be what they do. A lot of people do seem to think that's what's going to happen. At the moment, though, again, at time of recording, it is the Bella twins. So maybe this is all the swerve. Maybe Nikki Bella will be involved, but to a minimal level. Or maybe they just take the team out of it. We'll have to see. But I'm going to go with the winners being... I think a retention probably makes the most sense, if I'm honest. I mean, Charlotte and Alexa's been really fun, but it's got to end eventually. Not saying it's going to be here, but like, yeah, they don't need the titles. Bailey and Lyra, cool team. Maybe giving them titles gives that kind of, them and the titles a different direction. You could argue that. The Bellas, I think, would be great to win it if the Bellas are in it, because it should be on their CV and it should be on the titles history book entry as well. It should say the Bella twins there. In my opinion, I think that'd be pretty good for both the titles and for the Bellas and their legacy. But yeah, other than that, I would say keep it on the champs. I mean, not every prediction has got to be a new champ, right? And even if it's not necessarily down to like, oh, I just don't think the title will change. But sometimes I don't want the title to change. And I don't think there's anyone here that go, oh, man, I really want them to do it. Maybe in the match I'll feel different. They play into the emotion. I like the team of Charlotte and Alexa. I like Bailey and Lyra. I like their Bellas, but don't know if they're going to be in it. But so maybe in the match I'll feel different. But at this moment in time, if I look at the graphic, I'm like, you don't need to change the champs. It doesn't really matter to me. So I'm fine if Lash and Nia keep it, because I think they're doing a good job anyway. So those are my thoughts on the women's tag team titles. Moving on to the next match, though, you've got Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. Now, this is talk about blood feud. This is probably the most intense feud as far as the way they're trying to depict it. Anyway, they just hate each other, right? Drew McIntyre is said some nasty things about Jacob, and in Drew's mind, Jacob has cost him the ultimate prize. And I will say it's a shame, because I feel like this could have been, along with what looked like Cody, maybe Sami, maybe Randy Orton, a completely different title picture come WrestleMania. The Drew title reign, I think, was a good one. It served its purpose. It was a bit obvious that Randy was going to face Cody in the end. Soon as Randy, I think, got that, it just seemed so much more likely when they announced that Cody was going to fight Randy for the Drew for the title on that SmackDown, that it was going to only go in one direction. And I get that in storyline purpose, they can pull Drew away from that. Like, he served his purpose there, and they can put him away from it and give some kind of massive kind of emotion and heat behind this story. But for me, I don't know. I'm just not sure it really has the same kind of I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like the same kind of importance, I guess. Yeah, maybe I just go with importance, because there's no title on the line. Like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, it's unsanctioned. Don't get me wrong. I think that'd be really fun. I think they'll use some cool elements. I think it'll be entertaining. But like, again, it's just another example of a match where I don't care who wins. And that's not me saying I don't care about either guy, or I don't think they're you know, that they've not told a good story. But I just don't. If Drew wins, all right, good for Drew. If Jacob wins, yeah, good for Jacob. I tell you who needs it more probably is Jacob, which is weird because, you know, I feel like usually I'm saying that about Drew, but to be fair, Drew's just been the champion and he's had a big spotlight for quite some time. You could argue he should have been in it at WrestleMania, as I kind of touched on earlier on, but I think it's worse for Jacob. Like, Jacob went away as a massive kind of star, and he's come back as, I don't know, someone a bit lost, in my opinion. I don't think the way they brought him back helped, where couldn't tell if he was a good guy or a bad guy. But yeah, I am looking forward to the match itself, and I do think the way they've built the story has been quite good. But I just think it could have been more if they weren't so obsessed with doing other things on this card. But yeah, let's say unsanctioned match: Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu. I'm gonna say Jacob will win. And as much as I said I don't really care who wins, I think I would lean more into Jacob because I think Jacob probably does need it more. Because if he doesn't win, then what? Then what? What does he do next? And is he that much of a threat? Do people care? Do you know what I mean? So, which is crazy because before he went away, it was like one of the most exciting things. And again, I don't think it's down to him. I just think he's kind of got lost in the shuffle. So I'm hoping this is going to serve as a reminder for Jacob Fatu and who he actually is and what he could be for the WWE. So let's go with a Jacob Fatu victory. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, the Intercontinental Championship on the line in this one. I don't see AJ holding the title for long, but at the same time, I'm not too sure if WrestleMania is the place they're going to take it off of her. Maybe she keeps it and goes to Backlash and loses it there, but you could argue this feud's been going on for quite some time already. Of course, it goes all the way back to WrestlePalooza, which, what was that, October or something like that? September, October. So it's kind of been going on a while already. Do you really want to stretch it out another PLE? But do we really need to be giving Becky Lynch the title back to hold on to it for a while? Or you know, it could be one of those where she wins it, she loses on Raw. You know, something like that. I could kind of see something like that happening, to be fair. So, which would have been good if like AJ. Either way, really, if Paige did return and Raw after Mania and challenged either AJ Lee, which would be completely a rehash of what they did on Paige's debut with a Divas title, or Becky Lynch, you know, takes the IC title off of Becky Lynch, I think it'd be a cool way to do it. And AJ Lee is kind of this time on the sides or something like that, because AJ and Paige had a bit more of a kind of similar, you know, style, if you want, than Paige and the Bellas. But yeah, so maybe that's what you do. Maybe that's what they were originally going to do until this kind of rumor about the Bella twins and Nikki's availability. But again, we'll have to see. It could just all be nothing. So we'll have to see. But hey, it might factor into this match, as I say, because it could lead into something. I could see this leading into something in Monday Night Raw. You know, like you think last year Becky Lynch was the surprise, but on Monday Night Raw she turned heel. So it would kind of tie in there as well. We could see something similar. So I'm going to go... Oh, man, I really like that idea. But because I'm not sure if Paige is going to be a surprise at WrestleMania, I just feel like I can't pick that. But AJ Lee keeping the title and then going on to Backlash, I could see it in matches here and there, but like she doesn't need to be a champion for that. She can't. It doesn't seem like she's going to be around all the time. So I'm going to say Becky Lynch, and I don't know where we take the title off her, but I do think it could happen on Monday Night Raw. So let's go with Becky Lynch winning that one. Then we come to the main event. I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, I don't care. Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, the match that we've been building towards for years. and it doesn't matter. Ah, man. Look, I could have come on as soon as the Pat McAfee thing happened and done a few hours on that alone. And I'm sure over this weekend, there'll be a bit of that with myself and the rest of the team from Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And hopefully some of our friends from the wrestling media world on the build-up shows as well. But I'll try not to go into it too much here. But long story short, I'm not a fan. I'll give credit where it's due. I think it's making people want Cody to be the winner, which means babyface. That kind of works, right? It's distracting people from the fact that they started to really, really cheer Randy Orton, because people, there's this whole online thing of like, '09 Randy Orton was a menace, like this nostalgia thing for people in that period. So people wanted it, just like when Cena was the bad guy. But what people want is that was Cena. At least with Cena, it was like their heart was still with Cena as a good guy, even though he's playing a bad guy. People literally want Randy Orton as a bad guy, and like it does. It's not the same as '09 because they like it. So, and the idea in '09, especially if you're a young kid, is that you didn't like Randy Orton. But a lot of those people have grown up and appreciate him as the bad guy. Like me, I really appreciate Triple H's heel work from the early 2000s, when at the time I was supposed to hate him because I like The Rock. But I like heel Triple H from an older perspective, you know? So I think it's the same sort of thing. Like, it's nostalgia. At the time, I was like, I can't believe he's doing this to The Rock. And a lot of people would have been like that about Randy Orton against, you know, Batista and John Cena, or against Edge. But it's not the case anymore. So people were really, really cheering for Randy Orton, and they were not really getting behind Cody Rhodes. And at that stage, my biggest fear was that they were going to shove Cody down everybody's throats and he was going to win again. And I just wanted Randy to do it. But now that they've flipped the script on it, I'm like, I still want Randy to do it because I want him to be 15-time champion. But like, I don't want the Pat McAfee storyline attached to it. Like, he could have been put anywhere on this WrestleMania card. Pat being a heel, I think is pretty good. Some of the stuff he's saying is interesting. Like, but they're basically doing the John Cena storyline again of like, I'm going to come and ruin wrestling. Like, what? And then it's kind of acting like there's this thing higher. Like, is The Rock going to get involved? Or, you know, is Ari Emanuel coming down and spearing someone? You know, like, there's a way they can make this entertaining. But, like, it's not the way they should have put this, in my opinion. Like, they seem to completely shoot themselves in the foot with revealing it as Pat McAfee. Maybe it was supposed to be someone else. It really didn't feel like Pat McAfee. Maybe that was the whole design of it, though. It was meant to be a swerve. But it didn't feel like Pat McAfee. But, like, to me, Pat's not the problem. I think people get a bit lost in the celebrity hating and stuff like that. To me, it's Pat being in this match that's the problem. There was a big story to tell between these two guys, but to be fair, I think they were struggling because of the dynamic between the two and where they are in their respective careers. You know, Randy Orton is towards the end and seen as an icon, a legend that is going to be tough to boo, even though he typically was a heel. And then you've got Cody Rhodes, who maybe is wearing a little thin now as far as being a babyface and being a champion and being in the main event at WrestleMania so many years in a row. So they were at risk, don't get me wrong. So I kind of have to give them credit in that sense. I just don't know if that's just a happy accident or if it's what they've intended to do. But again, this could go so many ways. I actually do think they might involve The Rock. And if they do, then it kind of saves it a little bit. Because, again, it's kind of a rehash for what they maybe were going to do around the John Cena thing. It feels like they're doing that storyline again, but from a different angle. And if they are, then I'm kind of here for it, even though I'm still annoyed about so much about what went down in the John Cena heel turn and how that kind of flopped. Don't get me wrong, the moment itself, incredible. But as myself and Lucas said on this channel, it probably needs its own deep dive someday. But yeah, I think this is an opportunity, maybe. If that's why they've done it, then I can kind of understand it. I still wouldn't have done it in the Cody Rhodes Randy Orton match because I think it takes away from the great history that they've got. I assume on the day there'll be a promo package of them, you know, and it'll show like legacy and stuff like that and them over the years. But like all along, even the way that this kind of got announced, like I know, like, they tried to be like, oh, he's listening to the voices again and all that, but he should have just turned heel. Like, he should have just turned on Cody Rhodes, like, ages ago, in my opinion. So, yeah, I didn't like the whole him winning the chamber and then suddenly going, I think I should be a bit of a naughty man if I want to get this title. Nah, not for me. And now they've had to go down this route. But look, let's see. On the night, it could be fun. And I hope that'll be the case. But who do we think is going to win? I mean, I just look at that graphic and see Pat there and think, what the heck are you doing? Like, oh yeah, and there's that whole if Randy loses, Pat's leaving WWE forever or some kind of rubbish. I don't see that happening, right? So that either means Randy's winning, or it means they'll backtrack. WWE don't tend to backtrack. I don't know, do they? I guess they kind of do. And he's a bad guy. It would just come back. But he's such a terrible pay. Like, don't say those things if you're not going to live up to it. Like, so is that... It feels like they've just done it to make people think, oh, I think Randy's going to win. So that when Cody wins, it's more of a surprise. Because they're thinking, oh, they can't not do it with Pat. You know, keep Pat around. But Pat did... This all came from, apparently, a Pat interview or whatever, when he said... Yeah, I think the business passing by. I don't think I'll be doing much with them, or, you know, something along those lines. So, you know, maybe there is some truth in that, and they're playing into that, and he is going to go away. But it's not going to be forever, is it? You know, he's going to do something with WWE again. So, I don't know, man. It's a real sticky situation they've got themselves in here, because I think no matter what they do, whoever wins, there's going to be, and wherever this storyline goes after WrestleMania, there's going to be a disappointment somewhere. And I don't mean, oh, you can't please everyone. I mean more in the sense of, like, there will be in my opinion, I think there will be a big flaw that everybody goes, yeah, but why that? You know, or that doesn't make sense, or that kind of takes the mick out of the fans, you know? So, but I think it could be entertaining on the night. So, while I don't like the build, and I don't like where it could be going afterwards, I do think on the night, it could be fun. So, hey, isn't that what it's all about at the end? So let's commit. Who are we saying? Who are we saying is going to win the match for the WWE Undisputed Championship? Now, something I should say as well, there's a lot of rumours going around again today, Friday at time of recording, hours before SmackDown, that Randy Orton is, they're not saying the word injured, but like banged up, basically. It doesn't sound like the kind of person you want to put a title on, right? I guess this is the risk with them saying about Pat going, because if they can't put the title on Randy because he's injured, but they've already committed to, yeah, but Pat's got to leave if he loses. and Randy's like really injured, he can't even win a match, or, I mean, I guess that makes that void, but let's say they can't put the title on him, so they make him lose, then Pat's got to go. Unless they replace him with Pat, and then they might as well replace Cody with Jelly Roll, right? I'm surprised Jelly Roll's not on the graphic. I think they were surely itching themselves to do that, and then I think they probably got a lot of backlash and went, we can't make it look like it's Jelly Roll versus Pat McAfee. Again, a lot of people would just assume Backlash is going to be a tag team match. I think it could be if Randy's not that banged up, so, or just a one-on-one between Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee, which is, yeah. But credit where it's due as well. Both of them decent performers for their experience levels and stuff like that. And if that's going to happen, then Randy has to win, right? So I think they've done all this to make Randy more of a heel, and I think that might be a point that a lot of people are missing. Again, I want to give credit where it's due if that's the case. And if they do that, that's because they want cheers when Cody wins, which makes me think Cody's going to win. So if it's done for that reason, then I think Cody will be winning, and it will be seen as this kind of backlash for, see, no one liked the Pat McAfee Randy Orton thing, and Cody saved the day, and people conveniently forget that they were booing Cody a few months back. So maybe that's where it goes. I don't want it to, though. I do want Randy Orton to win because I want him to be champion again. I don't care as much as I thought I would, but if there's what freshens up SmackDown? Is it Cody going in as champion again? Or is it Randy Orton with a title over his shoulder, with or without Pat McAfee and The Rock and Ari Emanuel or whatever else they're doing? That, take them away from it. It's fresh because Randy's champ. Put them all involved. It's fresh because it's different. So I think no matter what, I think I'll probably prefer Randy to win. But I think this might have been booked for Cody to win so that people just get over their hang-ups on Cody and instead go, actually, you know what else? I don't like Cody, but you know what I really don't like? This Pat McAfee stuff. So it kind of makes Cody the kind of backup. City Clothes and Co. says, good evening all. Hope you're well, doing well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you're doing well and are looking forward to WrestleMania. We've been diving through the WrestleMania Saturday card. We'll be touching on WrestleMania Sunday very soon as well. But yeah, those are my predictions for night one. I want to know, are you excited for WrestleMania Saturday? Do you think the predictions I've come up with there are likely to happen, or do you think I've got it completely wrong? We'll have to see. Let's quickly run through the card again for night one before we do fire straight into WrestleMania Sunday predictions. Again, you are watching the Weekend Kickoff show from Rebellious Noise. We appreciate you. We do this for all the big PLEs where we can on a Friday night before it to get you hyped up in the mood. We hit you with a Weekend Kickoff show where we break down the card. We're also going to be doing a watch along of WWE's Kickoff show, which is happening in my timeline, at least, in a few hours' time. If you're watching this on a replay on the build-up show, then stay tuned because this will be part of that as well. But yeah, this is going to be happening Friday night before SmackDown. We'll be breaking down all the big stories to come out of that one. I've mentioned the build-up show a little bit there as well. You might be asking, what's that all about? Well, if you're new here, welcome along. What we do on the night of a PLE is we basically take you all the way up to the show starting itself. We talk about last-minute rumors, and especially for WrestleMania, it's so fun. There are so many last-minute things flying around about WrestleMania already. On Friday night, there's loads of crazy rumors that weren't there 24 hours ago. So you can imagine what it's like on the night of a PLE, right? And we break down all last-minute rumors. We try and get our friends from the wrestling media world to join us as well. More members of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling crew. It's a big stream and a real laugh, basically, as we head into the PLE. And, of course, there are 2 shows to break down this year. Get hyped about, because of course we will have a build-up show for night 2 of WrestleMania as well. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and check out more of our content. But as I say, you are watching the Weekend Kickoff show. The idea is to break down the card. We've been breaking down WrestleMania Saturday so far, but it's not just preview shows that we have on this channel. We've also had the opportunity to interview some of your favorite WWE superstars, such as Liv Morgan, a time when she was a champion. So who knows, will she be having gold around her shoulder, just like she is in this photograph with me a few years back. We've also had the great opportunity to chat to the likes of Bianca Belair. Could we see a return for her at WrestleMania this year? And also Finn Balor, of course, who we'll be touching on when we get into WrestleMania Sunday predictions. Also had great conversations with LA Knight, and that is just to name a few. So if you like what you see, please subscribe and check out more of our content, including those exclusive interviews with some of your favorite WWE talent. City's Clothes and Co. says, I'm not hyped for WrestleMania 42, but I'm going to watch it and see what and stick it out. I think the booking is a bit poor lately in WWE, but I'm still going to watch WrestleMania 42. Yeah, look, I said as we started the show that a lot of people have had an issue with the build for this event, and look, quite often we like to convince ourselves, right, that if it's been a lackluster build, that the show itself might have a chance to over deliver and maybe blast through expectations, and I'm hoping that's the case. There have been some things I've enjoyed about this build, but I think every single match, most matches I should say, has had me go, I prefer it if they didn't do that, or I prefer it if they did this instead. And look, you're always going to have an opinion, but there's just been a lot that I'm like, I'm shocked they're doing that. Just when I get into a certain feud or invested in something, they just kind of take a weird turn, and I go, why are they doing that? That kind of makes no sense. But yeah, let's run down the WrestleMania Saturday card once more before we do move into predictions for night 2. So WrestleMania Saturday again, Gunther versus Seth freaking Rollins. This one here, again, I think it's going to be a really fun match. I think it's more likely, just to recap, that Gunther's going to win this one. We also talked about Seth's former, I was going to say former running buddies, but none of those guys represented here in the Vision were part of Seth's Vision. But the Vision, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and not quite a member, but Speed up against the Usos and LA Knight. I've gone for the babyfaces winning this one, but again, I'm not massively tied to that one. I do feel like there's a potential turn for Jey Uso in this one, as it does feel like that's been coming for quite some time, or maybe Speed accidentally picks up the win or something like that as well. Also, WrestleMania Saturday, we've got Liv Morgan against Stephanie Vaquer. Again, in my opinion, one of the most impressive, if you want to say, builds for this WrestleMania. The one that has kind of some of the more impressive performances and commitment to the story itself. I think this has been quite a decent build, actually. This match here, I kind of see going in the direction of the bad guy. I think Liv Morgan is going to be picking up the title here, and I think Stephanie Vaquer will probably be chasing for a little bit, and then maybe Liv turns babyface because something happens relating to jealousy and that title and the Judgment Day. But at the moment, I mean, they're gonna have to do a lot to turn her because she's a bad girl. Let's move into the women's tag team match again. Just a recap: there are rumors flying around at the moment that Nikki Bella will be unable to compete and therefore may be replaced. There's also rumors going around that Paige has re-signed with WWE, so a lot of people are putting 2 and 2 together and maybe coming up with 5, but we're not sure. Could we see Paige return in this match? In my opinion, it doesn't really change who wins it. I mean, if it really shouldn't. If Paige is in this match with Brie Bella, I do not want them winning the tag titles. Either way, I think the tag titles should be staying around the arms of the Irresistible Forces. So my pick was for those 2 ladies, and I think that might be what they go with as well. Again, I could be swayed on the night. Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. Again, a big blood feud here. Could have been more, but I still will appreciate the work they've put in to get us to this point. I think Jacob Fatu probably needs it more than Drew does at this very moment in time, so I see him picking up the victory. I mean, they were really, really kind of involved and excited about Jacob right before he went away, but it just hasn't really picked up the same amount of steam. But if they're as into him as they were before, then I think Jacob Fatu could be picking up the victory here and moving on to kind of new things. Maybe gets back involved with the top of the card, the title picture and things like that. It'll be interesting to see. I'm sure Drew will have a few things to say about that. Then again, we talked about AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. Again, for me, I'm not sure how long AJ is going to be sticking around for. So my idea is to give it to Becky and maybe have her lose it on Monday Night Raw. Either way, Becky's some sort of transitional champion. I don't think AJ Lee is going to be keeping it for too long. Either way, and then the main event, I am going for I think a Cody Rhodes win after that long song and dance I gave about what I think is actually going to happen, but. Look, let's move into WrestleMania Sunday, and in order to do that, I am going to bring in our resident luchador in just a moment to break down the card as well. But yeah, WrestleMania Sunday is again. To be fair, this card I think usually is the bigger one, and most people tend to be more excited about the second night, and it's always interesting to see how they manage that. But I think when we get to the end of predicting it, I will ask Rob as well what night he's most looking forward to. But without further ado, let's bring Rob in and see how he's doing. Rob, how are you doing?
What's happening? I'm not on screen, but you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Good.
We can hear you. We can see you. Don't you worry.
Amazing. Yeah, no, do you know, honestly, what do you want me to ask first? Because, yeah, I got mixed emotions. I'll be honest, mixed emotions about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has though. I mean, we were putting in a group chat about, I don't know, man, just why the build taking so long. You know, WrestleMania. We know when it is. It's run about the same time every year. Why does it take for the last 3 weeks for us to finally have a full card. I mean, I'm happy there's more than 5 matches on a card.
Oh,
Firstly,
that's nice.
but
Yeah, I think
but
it's 7 and 6, right? And I think last year was
yeah,
the same actually, 7 night 1, 6 night 2.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, so much has happened last minute, and not all of it's been good.
yeah.
I mean, I've dove into the Saturday stuff quite a bit here. Again, we'll move on to Sunday now, and hopefully we'll have you over the weekend on build-ups and stuff like that, and we can dive into Saturday in a bit more detail on those. Again, if you're new here, this is the Weekend Kickoff show. We'll be doing a watch-along for WWE's Kickoff in a few hours' time, and then on Saturday we'll have a build-up show where we talk last-minute rumours and get our friends from the WrestleMania world and more members of the Rebellious Noise crew on as well. So we'll be doing it for both nights, so some of our opinions will probably change. SmackDown's still got to happen as well, so that could kind of change things. Loads of rumors going around about injuries and people being signed and stuff like that. So that kind of plays into it as well. But let's move specifically into Sunday, Rob. And let's start out with, I've got to be honest, probably one of the matches I'm most looking forward to on this entire weekend. And that is Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi. Because this is one of the few feuds that they've built, in my opinion, in the right way. What are your thoughts on this one?
Do you know it? Yes, finally we have it. The build's been great. The big question is Oba Femi going to be put over the right way? I guess that's the main thing. Like, whoever wins this, Brock technically doesn't need to win this to all of a sudden become a star. Like, he's Brock Lesnar, you know. Yeah, so if he's on his way out, I guess doing the right thing would be like doing the job. But again, that's questionable, you know. He doesn't have to technically lose the match in order to, it's Oba Femi I'm talking about, to look like a monster. However, if he's going to go on a monster run after, it would make sense to start with Brock. You know, normally Brock would be the final guy, but if you're going to start with Brock, go from here. So, yeah, look, I'm all for it. I think the match was good. The only thing I would say negatively that I didn't like was it was really weird with... It started with Seth Rollins. With the Seth Rollins coming out and then, you know, with what he's doing and the return of him obviously coming back and, you know, giving the curb stomp to Heyman. And then Heyman comes out and then it's the F around F5 and all that stuff. I love that, the play on it. And then Brock comes out, all of a sudden Oba Femi comes out. So Oba Femi then comes to Seth's aid. So
I forgot all about that. I forgot Seth was even... Yeah, because so basically when we were talking about WrestleMania Saturday, I was talking about like Seth's, you know, and again we'll touch on this more in the weekend, but Seth's kind of bizarre kind of situation where he's thrown into a match that doesn't seem like it would have been something they pitched 2-3 months ago. And then like they kind of weirdly transitioned, didn't they? Because he was looking like he was going to go out a match with Brock. Oba gets involved, and then Gunther gets involved with. I think that will play into it eventually.
Yeah, I feel it's got
with
to.
Brock Lesnar, Heyman, but I completely forgot that Seth looked like he was kind of maybe going towards a match with Brock Lesnar again. So, it is a bit of a weird way they come about it. But ultimately, this is the match a lot of people wanted to see, right? A lot of people have been saying since Oba Femi came, this always happens with big guys. You know, they should face Goldberg. It happened with Brock Lesnar. He should face Goldberg, and then when it's Brock Lesnar, it's the other way as well. So, I think. Generally speaking, they've built it really well. My concern is, like, Oba Femi has looked so good. Like, Brock has like retreated like quite often, and Oba Femi's got one up on him, and Brock's been angry and done a few kind of things like throwing chairs and stuff like that. But like usually, if you're going by this, like, who's won it so far? In my opinion, it's Oba Femi, which means he won't win the whole feud. But as you say, like they kind of can't do that. Like, he's got to beat Brock Lesnar. And, you know, like you say, it's got to be in the right way. But usually they would do that by, like, making it seem, can he beat Brock Lesnar? I'm going into this thinking, of course he can beat Brock Lesnar. He's battered him every week, you know? So Brock looks scared, you know, looks angry, but he looks a bit scared or like he's met his match sort of thing. So, in my opinion, this is perfectly lined up for Oba Femi to win. But it's not the way they usually book it. I just hope I'm wrong. And they've basically done a whole story where Oba Femi looks better than Brock, and then he is better than Brock. Like that's that. And then Brock has to move on to something else, which is, again, probably Gunther and Oba. I mean, what does Oba do after this if you've already beat Brock?
I mean, again, fairy tale booking, I guess. But if we're looking from here, the next big card will be SummerSlam. So on a hypothetical, you could technically do Oba beats Brock, but Seth loses to Gunther. And then there's a lineup there. So obviously we've already had the Seth and Gunther thing that had gone on. Seth was around with the Brock stuff before Oba Femi come in. So it'll be a really strange tag team. But if you had Seth and Oba Femi versus Brock and Gunther at SummerSlam, if some way they could kind of put that together. And then eventually, I mean, you could even do it as a thing of those two win, and then Brock turns on Gunther. And then bang, we set up for Brock Gunther. Do you know what I mean?
Could you? Brock and Gunther is such a 80s tag team, isn't it? Like, they're two just massive dudes.
On NWA as well.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. But look, that's completely kind of out of my thinking. I wasn't thinking anything like that because I was thinking about the Brock Gunther match. But yeah, I mean that's the way you could get to it, right? I mean, a lot of people think is it this year that SummerSlam's in? Is it Minneapolis?
I believe,
and that's why people think Brock Lesnar's going to retire this year. I think the weird thing for me is like Gunther, and again we touched on it with the Saturday night predictions, but Gunther, retires 3 people in a row, then faces Seth, and then gets, maybe to retire Brock after that. It's a weird thing to take, a little bit of a sidestep, and then for Brock to lose against Oba, like Gunther's going to be like, well, he beat you, I can beat you. Like, and no, if Gunther doesn't beat Brock, it doesn't make Gunther look good, But then Brock losing twice on his way out, like, I mean, it does a lot for those guys. It probably is the right thing to do, and you could start arguing things like, oh, well, now they've beat the one in 21-1 or whatever it was, and this kind of lineal kind of history, if you want to look at it like a boxing record or something like that. So maybe you could argue that, but it's just not the way they've booked Brock before. Like when Brock puts you over, he puts you over good, like to his credit. The Drew McIntyre stuff he's done, even in the Rumble years back with Keith Lee, that little exciting exchange between the two. So, I think Brock will do a good job if he puts over and then Gunther, but it's kind of unprecedented, but maybe that's what you want. Like the Beast has been slayed eventually, do you know what I mean? And he's not as good as he once was, but is that really, if he's been beat, then is Gunther beating him that special? Or then you could just argue, but he didn't just beat him, he retired him. Like so it has to be special, something. But yeah, so it's funny, right? Because this match is exciting on its own, but I guess what's good about it is it does play into like where we go with the rest of the year for both these guys, and then maybe Gunther as well. Bring it back to this match itself, and I can see we've got some comments coming in there, so we'll get to those in just a moment. But bring it back to the match itself, Rob, if you had to pick, as we are here on Friday night, who would you say is going to win this one, Brock Lesnar or Oba Femi? Your heart of hearts, who do you reckon it's going to be?
Honest, do you know what? I really want it to be Oba Femi, but I feel like we're getting swerved with something to do with Heyman, which is why Brock's going to win. I think Brock's going to get the win here, but by like hook or crook. It's going to be one of those like barely gets it. There's there's going to be some shenanigans. The reason that Brock wins, I think, if they do, the only other thing they can do then is push this to SummerSlam, and have them go again, and have Oba go over like proper clean, and then maybe that's the last way we get Lesnar, and he retires.
I think what's interesting is like usually this is the kind of perfect scenario for Heyman to jump ship and attach himself to the next big thing, and that being Oba Femi. But because Oba Femi's a good guy, but he could be a bad guy, So, but people want to cheer. They've got something good with him here, like not just as a talent, but as a babyface as well.
Lightning in a bottle.
It'd be kind of it'd be kind of a waste. So, but it does feel like the typical thing. Like I was starting to think earlier today, I was like, what if? I mean, Heyman did it last year. He could do it again this year, and it kind of, jumped ship from Brock again. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see, but I say this kind of loosely. When Heyman goes with someone, let's say 7 out of 10 times, the person that he's gone with, Heyman becomes their mouthpiece. There's only rare moments where Heyman, I would say, Roman, Brock, and Punk were the only ones that really. Roman and Punk are probably the only ones that could really do the talking. Oh, and Seth. Brock can talk, but he's not the most comfortable. Whereas Brock is he's the big attraction. He just stands there looking menacing, and Heyman does the work for him. You know, so with Femi, I think he's a full package of he can talk the talk, literally walk the walk, you know, and does it in the ring. Like, he's an absolute monster. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Him being with Heyman, I think might do more bad than actual good in this scenario.
Yeah, and like Heyman's CV is like not like when you give him too many stars, and it doesn't like the jumping ship all the time. Like, yeah, it makes him look smart, but also it makes him look like he backed the wrong horse. You know? So it's not great all the time. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think Obafemi will be winning. So yeah, I'm gonna go Obafemi. What about you? You going the same or?
Look, I'm going to say Brock because I feel like there's some shenanigans. However,
Okay.
if Obafemi wins, I'm not going to be annoyed. Like, I love Obafemi to win, but I feel
Yeah.
that
You
I
just think
think
it might be Brock.
we need some more meatiness in this story, and I think that's what's going to happen over Mania.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. Let's get to some of these comments. They're mainly referring to WrestleMania Saturday, so we've done our predictions for those, and you may be watching this on the build-up show of WrestleMania Sunday. So some of this might be irrelevant by the time you watch it on the replay, but live, this is all still fresh to us, so I'm going to go through some of these comments as well. Six Clothes and Co says, I am enjoying the Pat McAfee stuff, still trying to get used to the Pat McAfee being with Randy Orton, but the internet lost the plot over Pat McAfee and tore the segment apart. It wasn't, I don't think the segment was too bad. I think it was more. I don't think Pat should be shoehorned into this storyline, but again, we've touched on that already. We'll dive into it more over the weekend, I'm sure. It says, I think CM Punk and Roman Reigns will be a good match. Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar will be a good match, and I'm going to say for Royce Keys on SmackDown to win the Andre Giant Battle Royal tonight. Again, yeah, we're recording this just a few hours away from that as well. I wondered if they were going to be doing the Andre Giant Battle Royal. So yeah, Royce Keys is a good shout for that. Only just debuted, on the main roster calls. Took quite a bit of time to do that. Mercedes Jessica says Randy Orton will be the champion at WrestleMania. Could be the case. And City Close Code said also, I totally get people being disappointed with Pat McAfee stuff. Thanks for your comments, guys. Keep them coming. Let us know what you're most looking forward to at WrestleMania. Again, we're now talking about night 2 of WrestleMania, so we'd appreciate your comments and the predictions on that side of things as well, but of course we'll answer your questions relating to night 1 as well as we make our way through this. Again, I'm Scott. You are joined here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel by Rob as well. The idea is to get you hyped up and in the mood for the big PLE this weekend with our weekend kickoff show. We'll also be doing a watch along for WWE's kickoff as well, so stay tuned for that. As I mentioned, on each night there is a build-up show for both nights of WrestleMania where we talk last minute rumors and get you hyped up and in the mood for both events. Let's bring it back to predictions though for night 2, and let's get back to the card itself. Again, I'm going for Brock Lesnar to lose, and Rob is going for him to win, but wouldn't be against the idea of Oba picking up the victory. Now let's move into the next one. We got Finn Balor, the Demon Finn Balor I should say, versus Dominik Mysterio. And I got to say again, this is an example where one of many examples over this WrestleMania build where I've gone, actually, I like that one. What'd they do that for?
Yeah,
because
I agree.
why have they announced the Demon? Again, and I think Finn's even gone on record of being saying he doesn't like when it happens. He doesn't like when it's the Demon's not as special anymore because you keep making him lose. Or making him fall off the top rope for no bloody reason and never paying off that storyline. Like, what are you doing? Like, the Demon just they're scraping the barrel of what the Demon means now just to sell a few tickets where they can, and the amount of tickets it will sell will become less and less and less when you make it such a weak thing. They've really weakened it, so it's made me think even more so that Finn Balor's got to win, when realistically going into this match I felt like Dominik should probably win because he's still the young up and comer out of the two of them, and Finn doesn't bloody need it. If this was Finn winning the championship to give him a bit more of a bulked up CV, which I think he deserves, I'd be more for it. But because he's facing the up and comer, I still think the up and comer should win, even though last year it was the IC championship. You could argue Dominik had his moment last year. Now that you put the demon into the mix, I think Finn Balor needs to bloody win. So it's kind of annoyed me the way they built into this, because much like Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, there's a bloody storyline here already. Why do we need to ruin? Like, you could say he's so angry with Dominik, he brings out the demon at WrestleMania, it's a special occasion, and he's, you know, he has played into, even when he was having those matches against Punk, he was playing into, like, you know, he did his old entrance when they were in Belfast, you know, so they've played into that and him being a good guy. But man, like, did they really need to spoil the announcement of the demon with this one?
Again, I completely agree. Why did they have to say anything to do with a demon? They could have teased that when Finn gets to a certain level and of disrespect, he gets attacked too much, a different side of him appears. They could have teased that on commentary.
It's obvious, but it's not obvious. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And it's like poking the bear. They're poking the bear. In my opinion, tonight should have been the night where, I mean, it doesn't make sense now, but tonight should have been the night where they do something with the Judgment Day. Finn comes out and they're doing the contract signing. Tonight, everything, just how I would have booked it. Right. Yeah. They should have done a contract signing tonight. And when they sign it, he then gets jumped and literally battered and battered and battered. And like hits with chairs and all that stuff. And you think, okay, well, there is clearly no way Finn Balor is walking out of now for night 2. He's got a day to recover. Night 2, that's it. You know, he's going to be like easy pick. He's literally like Dom, like a vulture, just picking up from the bones, bare bones, what's that.
Which ties into Dom's character and the Judgment Day as well. So
exactly. And then night 2 happens. Dom comes out first. The champion comes out first. Even cuts a promo. Finn, come out. I'll do this. I'll give you this. I'll give you this. Do you know what I mean? I'll make it easier. I'll do it with my arm behind my back. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Then the demon comes out. Yeah. Now
with the slow burn to his song as well, with the dun 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 in the lights and all that. Like, it would have been such a cool surprise.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, there might still be surprises at WrestleMania. I don't know. They always tend to have one or two, right? Man. But like, that's a missed opportunity now. If we come out of WrestleMania and there's not many surprises, we're gonna be like, we could have at least made the demon a surprise.
Exactly. But that's how they should have done that. You know, like really teased it, and then put Finn in the basic on the back leg of, he can't do anything. Like, he has to do something. Then we get a demon. But look, I mean, I think I made it clear on here before. I mean, we haven't seen the demon in a long time. What was last time against Edge? Maybe.
Yeah, that was WrestleMania, and he was a bad guy. He had the purple stuff for the Judgment Day. Yeah, Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Obviously, he lost that.
Which was great, by the way. That was great. He got busted open badly in that, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't. Edge. Obviously, we're going on a tangent. Edge didn't need to win this. This would have been a moment where the demon starts to build up his victories again. But even then, I made it clear that my biggest criticism with Finn as Finn and Finn as the demon is there is no difference. Yes, he puts the paint on, and the paint is the war paint, and that's that thing that he does, and that's it. But I think personally, the coup de grace, the shotgun drop kick into the turnbuckle, all those things are a demon thing. Finn Balor shouldn't do them unless he's a demon. I think when he comes out as a demon this time, he has to be vicious. We have to see a completely different side of the demon and think, okay, you don't want Finn to become the demon because you are not going to win. You need to make him just absolutely monstrous, like a version of Venom. And then when Venom's like, that's it, you're not winning. And then that's how you build that character up again. I feel like we have to get that from this time from Finn.
Yeah.
If we don't, then and Dom wins, oh man, it's just a wasted point, isn't it?
The thing is, like, I don't want anyone to think I'm just saying the demon should always win, because, like, in order to be a threat, I think you need to show a bit of vulnerability and lose sometimes, right? But but rarely, like, you shouldn't, like, they've just wasted. Like, when they brought it back for Roman Reigns and the turnbuckle exploded, like, and nothing ever. It was clear they just went, let's make him the big demon, and that's it. Like, so that's why it's just frustrating. Like, I don't think he should win every time, but because he's lost the last 2 times, it's going to be, the big bad demon's back, is he? Do you know what I mean? Like, Dominik should, that's more likely now that Dominik sees him as a demon and laughs.
Yeah.
Because I would have been more scared facing Finn Balor, not the demon Finn Balor. That's what they're at risk of getting at, really.
Yeah.
because as you said, there's not a lot of differences. It was more about the presentation, and that's not holding them up anymore. So, but look, let's get back to the match itself. I mean, ordinarily, I'd want Dominik Mysterio to win, but because it's Finn Balor the Demon, I want him to win instead. And then I think, like, Dom doesn't need to win. Although he's the younger of the two talents, he doesn't need to win. He had that moment last year at WrestleMania, as I say, win the IC title. Surprisingly, they didn't turn him babyface. Didn't give into it in the whole year, so he's still a heel. He doesn't need to win in that sense, but like, so I guess, like, in my opinion, Finn needs something. Not just the Demon. I think Finn needs something to keep him looking credible as well. So. Yeah. I just don't know if, like, maybe he could have argued enough, like, guys, if I'm going to do the Demon, not to politic and say I've got to win, but maybe it hasn't fell on deaf ears. And he's said, look, guys, like, if we're doing this Demon thing, it's got to be worth it. Like, and that's why they've pulled the trigger, because he is going to win. So, as far as, again, I think Finn Balor should win. I think I want him to win, even though I really like Dom, and ordinary might go for Dom. I'm going to say Finn will win, and I'm not confident about it, but I'm gonna say Finn will win. Yeah, I'm not. I'm really not.
Do you know it's a crazy time in wrestling where we're discussing the likes of Finn Balor, and I mean this in no disrespect to Dominik Mysterio, because he's a phenomenal. The way he portrays himself, as a wrestler and performer. But it's crazy to think that we're having this discussion about. Dominik Mysterio can bounce back from this, but Finn Balor can't. Just saying that blows my mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So I feel if we're getting the Demon, I think Demon time is officially going to be a proper thing, and I think we're going to get the Demon that we actually want to see. The Demon from NXT. I think we're now going to get on the main roster.
We can only optimistic there. You are being optimistic there. Let's get some of these comments here as well. Thanks for sending them in, guys. We appreciate it. City's Clothes and Co says, I won't be watching night 1 till Sunday and night 2 on Monday. So City's going to be a little bit behind there. But hey, try and join us for the build-up show if you're in the right timeline then at least, and let us know your last-minute predictions. But let us know where you're watching from around the world, guys, as well. It's always interesting to know where you guys are tuning in from. For us, it's going to be 11 o'clock at night, which is a little bit earlier than usual for PLEs in the UK. Also says, Tiffany Stratton not even on the WrestleMania 42 card this year. I get what you're saying. Should have done something about Finn Balor getting beaten up on SmackDown. But yeah, great point there. No Tiffany Stratton on the entire card.
That didn't even cross my mind.
She was such a big point, part of last year's. Of course, it was sloppy. Don't get me wrong. The Charlotte match, I think the build, obviously, we're not to tread on old ground too much, but the build made them both look bad, and the match made Tiffany look bad, in my opinion. I think she really struggled to keep up. But yeah, definitely interesting to see. I mean, of course, it looked like it was going to be her and Jade for a little bit this year, but it wasn't to be. Cody Burris is in the house. Hi, good to see you, Cody. Thanks for tuning in. Always great to get your input. So I hope you're looking forward to WrestleMania as well. City's Close and Go also says Judgment Day, but as we said, should be happening on SmackDown. But I think we won't go down well if they pull out many surprises at 42. WWE's cooked in a bad way and it flops like last year. Look, I think this is a wider discussion on the build-up show. We'll dive into kind of, I guess, people's view of WWE at the moment, because I don't think there are many people's good books at the moment. When you look at this time last year, I think we were going into that WrestleMania thinking it was a weak card. This year we're going into it thinking weak build. I just think that they really exploded for WrestleMania 40. It was like the peak for this period, this generation, and look, you could argue, well, then it was only going to go in one direction, right? But I think there's been a lot of questionable things. I mean, the way WrestleMania ended last year, I was saying earlier on, Rob, I came on air, and I was saying that I'd watched like the first few minutes of my reaction to night 1 and night 2 from the last 5 years. I quickly went and checked like the archive on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel just to see what my instant kind of thoughts were and my mood. And for all of them, I was pretty hyped, except for night 2 last year. Even the other years where I was like, I weren't sure about this and I weren't sure about that, but it was a really good show. Last year, it was like they ruined it at the end, you know. So I hope we're not coming out of it this year with the same kind of thought and feeling. So,
sorry, I was going to say, so I don't want to cut you off quickly, but do you know, I've not even looked. I was going to quickly check the wiki to see the matches. Right, I can't even remember how Night 2 ended last year.
So Night 2 last year was the John Cena stuff and Thingy coming out and just whipping people. What's his name? Travis Scott.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it just fell apart. Like, not The Rock didn't show up. Like, it just fell flat in my opinion. But again, the John Cena. I mean, the funny thing is, and you were not, and that's kind of the point, right? But you were not around the channel much for any of the heel John Cena stuff. So me and Lucas have been saying that we want to do like a retrospective look back at that whole thing now that it's over. So it'd be good to do it with you because I really don't know much of what you thought about any of that at all. So we'll have to dive into that someday. But hey, look, John Cena's going to be at WrestleMania. Don't know how much he's going to feature on Night 1 and Night 2 individually, but yeah, he is going to be the host. So they couldn't keep him away for too long. And I got a funny feeling he'll get physical as well. But yeah, well, we'll see what he's going to do.
I'm just hoping we get a John Cena Danhausen moment.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's got to happen. Right?
I was saying to Tom, of course, friend of the channel, been on this channel and co-host of Talking Beans with me. But I was saying to Tom that I think the thing I'm most into in WWE at the moment is Danhausen. I think he's still,
crazy, right?
like when I watch all the highlights on YouTube and I think about, do I watch the main one and just get all the kind of pinpoints and I go, oh, you know what, that's a big feud, I'm interested in that. I'll watch the full segment of Punk and Roman, for example. Yeah. So there'll only be certain videos I'll watch individually, but I always go, let me watch the Danhausen one. Even though I know it's him going to be going, here's some t-shirts, I still want to watch it because I just find it really entertaining. But yeah, but let's hope he has something big to do at WrestleMania as well. Let's move into, we've kind of touched on it a little bit already, or this person at least, and that's Jade Cargill. Again, it looked like she might be facing Tiffany Stratton. It wasn't to be. Rhea Ripley was going to be her challenger instead. And this is kind of like you got to be honest, this is a big marquee match. These are two names that you would imagine that you could fantasy book. When Jade was in AEW, people would have been looking at this kind of matches again as a fantasy booking match or one for the future. Well, the future is here and we're getting it. And I do think this will be... I do think it does have the star power. I kind of like what they've done with B-Fab and Michin. Even though I liked Michin being a babyface, and I think B-Fab had other things to do on her own, but hey, I'm not against what they're doing at the moment, putting them together. I think it might actually benefit all three of them. Io Sky, of course, in the periphery for this as well, being friends with Rhea Ripley. I kind of usually, I think, would be going into a match like this going, all right, as much as I love Rhea, we can't have her win. Not again. She doesn't need it anymore. And again, with the newer star, I'd be going Jade Cargill, but I kind of think it's run its course and it's okay to take the title off of Jade. But then again, I'm thinking maybe not if she's just got this stable to take it. What do they do without a champion? Maybe that's kind of a thing. So usually I think I would be annoyed. As much as I like her, I'd be annoyed with Rhea winning this one. This time round, I'm like, I kind of get it. Because they need Stephanie Vaquer, obviously, and by the time, we get to Night 2, this might be different, but being the champion, and Jade Cargill being champion, they're two very different talents and different amounts of experience, but they're fresh in WWE. So do they need to then start moving over to... They can't... And I think they've done that a lot with the women's titles over the past year or two. It's been kind of Tiffany Stratton. It's not really been your established stars, which, don't get me wrong, it's the kind of thing we've been crying out for, right? We don't want it to always be Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, and all these kind of talents hogging the top spot all the time. So I think it's been good. But at the same time, every now and then, I think you do need to go back to the well and you do need to go for your established star. So I think this could be an opportunity to do that. I mentioned Bianca Belair in there. I mean, we still don't know how bad this finger injury and surgery and all that is. So whether or not she's ready to come back, I don't know. But in storyline kind of fantasy booking, this is a great way to do it. I think there's also a potential for an Io Sky turn, which I don't want to see, but there's potential for that here as well. So this could go in many directions. And again, you've got to factor in Michin and B-Fab. So I actually think this is a tough one to predict. So for that reason, I'm going to throw it to you first, Rob.
No, thanks. So with... I look weirdly this is such a marquee match. Like you could look at it. I think if other stuff wasn't happening, and let's say WWE were in a position where they were trying. Do you remember before when they were trying to put the women at a higher up the card? In my opinion, this should be second to last. Weirdly, like this is a match that would be second to last. However, I just feel like it's missing something. Like there's the build is great. You know, you got a star in Jade and a star in Rhea Ripley, 1,000,000%. You know, both of them they look phenomenal. Their work rate, I would say Rhea's got a better work rate. Jade is still kind of green, but she's showing a lot more promise.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's something about this that something is missing, and I don't know what it is that's missing from it. Like the promos haven't been solid. Do you know? There's been moments where you think, oh, that could have been done better. It just feels, I don't know. As I said, I feel something is missing, and I just think they don't know what that final piece of the puzzle is to really like send it off, like you know, to rocket it to the moon and really make it have more meaning. However, I think the match is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a very one-sided from Rhea, and I think because of that, I think actually Jade's going to win. I think with you said with Michin and BFAB, which by the way were fantastic as a tag team. So you know, obviously, and I understand if you can't the enemy of my enemy, and I understand all this sort of stuff. You know, it's a bit weird. I didn't like the idea of it, but you know, I mean, funnier things have happened. You know, in wrestling, this is how it works. You know, I mean, if you can get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn back on the same page, this is nothing. You know, you know, and they tried to kill each other more than once in the ring. So I guess if you look at it from that perspective, this isn't that bad. I'm all for it, but I do think this. I think this will be the moment where we get the trio more established. We have Jade as this big champion, and going forward we have, you know, they look more dominant. We conquered Rhea Ripley. Who's next?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're better. They're better suited with the title, as I say. If you take the title out of this little stable, then what is the stable? Unless they've just been set up for WrestleMania, which could be a potential, because you know that missing ingredient you might be looking for could be Bianca Belair. I mean, it felt more like that when EO come to make the save, but it's still only two of them. So like, I think Jade probably should win in that sense if we're going to keep this stable together. And then maybe the way to do it is, like you say, Jade wins, and then they're beating down Rhea and Io, and then Bianca makes the save, and then that means Bianca can go after Jade for the title as well. So like because if Bianca comes in to make the save and it affects the match, then you put the title on Rhea. You have Bianca going up against the three of them, which again, you know, another example of a title not being necessary in a feud, because Bianca doesn't need to go after the title herself. But I think the stable probably needs the title more than that feud would need it. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think as well, do you know what would be weird in that aspect? If Bianca comes out and she makes the save, right, then you got to look at it from another perspective of, don't forget she also teamed with Jade. And she was the teaming more, I would say, with Jade, as in doing the double team moves, the finishers and stuff, than Naomi was, even though they were together. Obviously, Naomi's had the baby now, right?
I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, but yeah,
I think she has. I think Jimmy and Jay done like a Hot Wings thing or something like that, and I think they were speaking about the baby.
Oh, okay.
I may be wrong though.
Right.
In the comments, let us know if that is because normally they would do an announcement, but I think they kept it quiet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyway, as I was saying, so. I'm not saying there'd be a Naomi return. You know, take as much time as she obviously. You know, a woman's body needs a good amount of time to heal up before she comes back. But with Bianca, it'd be strange being her making a save this time for Ripley, knowing that the last time she was there, she was technically wasn't feuding against Jade. So it's more of a case of, why are you going? You know, like now she's back. It's like, let's get you off this path. Let move you back to Jade that I know. And then there's already a story written there of like she's trying to redeem her, you know. So there is something there that can really work.
I still think all along that they should have, or maybe were gonna make Bianca turn heel and be the one that was revealed. She was part of the plan with Naomi, and that's why Naomi was so upset with her for not kind of backing her, because she knew that Bianca had told her to do it. But I think they've since then, Bianca got injured. They've took her out of the storyline. They used her a little bit in the match between the two of them, where she was kind of torn, but more aligning with kind of Jade, because Jade was naturally the babyface at the time. So you're right, for her coming back, like, why does she not like Jade all of a sudden? Like, Jade was still the one that got attacked by Naomi. Do you know what I mean? So, well, even if last year she was in a match with Rhea as well. So
you could even do it as Bianca comes out. Literally, if you do it so she comes out not in gear, so she's just there backstage, comes out to stop Jade from doing what she's doing, and then they attack her. Then it puts her in a position where she's like, I don't want to fight you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So then you're putting her on the back foot of like, you're my friend still. And then
she could be like, what's got into you and stuff like that. And then because they are ruthless with Bianca, that now gives Bianca, for whenever she is ready to come back, let's say this is just a stopgap, that she's now got a reason to go after Jade when she comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I have to fight you now. Yeah. So maybe that's the way they do it. But yeah. All right. Let's commit, Rob. Who are we going with? Jay Cargill or Rhea Ripley in this one? Again, remember it's for the Women's WWE Championship.
I think Jay can actually do a lot more with this, but I think they need to put her in a position where when she conquers Rhea Ripley, I think that this moment after that, now it would be a bit more smooth sailing because they've done something at Mania. Now we can establish something else after that. So yeah, I'm going Jade.
I started out thinking Rhea Ripley, but I think I've come around to the idea of Jade as well. Again, because I think the trio need that title if they're going to make that more of a thing. And I was just imagining there, actually, when I looked at the graphic, the picture of Jade's foot on top of like Rhea as she flexes or something like that is like, that will be massive. You could argue it's damaging to Rhea, but like Rhea's made. Like she doesn't need to, like it makes another star, and that's only positive really. So, I mean, you could say, well, she's the champ. Is she not a star already? But, I'm always of the opinion that these people, when they win the titles for the first time, their star in moment isn't necessarily the title itself. Sometimes it comes later on, to really solidify who they are and that they belong in that position. And as you say, like there's still a lot of talk about Jade's experience and stuff like that, but I think she is continuing to impress and improve, and I think this is a positive step for her. So maybe she keeps it as well. Another example of weird twists and turns in this build is that they started this being like personal on Twitter, didn't they? And a lot of people not sure still was because it stopped, because it was either they were told, hey, stop doing that, or it was fake and they've decided to kind of end it. But like it started out like really like as if they legit hated each other. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, let's go with Jay Cargill on this one as well. Gonna get to some more of these comments here. Sooty's still giving us some good ones. Says, I like Danhausen. I look forward to him. Same me as well. As I said earlier on, he's one of the highlights of WWE at the moment. I'm going for Rhea to beat Jay Cargill in this one, says Sooty. But I don't understand if they do something big for night 1 of WrestleMania 42, but what will top it on night 2 being the last match being CM Punk versus Roman Reigns? It needs to be something in this one, in my opinion. We'll get to CM Punk Roman Reigns in a bit, but says we need talking points after WrestleMania 42 Fallout on Monday Night Raw to become interesting. CM Punk and Roman Reigns to me just can't be a standard match, in my opinion. Yeah, you'd imagine there's some sort of big story that comes out of this one. We got the Travis Scott stuff last year in Vegas. Again, that was the kind of controversial way they ended things. Exactly, last year's was again the fact that you forgot that really drives that home. Let's get to the next match, Rob. It is one that I think we can comfortably say is one that excites most people, and it's the kind of match that doesn't need a big build because the match itself is promising. It's the 6-pack challenge ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. You've got 3 luchadors in this one, Rob, so I'm sure this is right up your street for that reason alone. We've got JD McDonough, we've got Dragon Lee, we've got Penta, we've got Javon Evans, Rey Mysterio, and Rusev in a match that I am very much looking forward to. I'm all about these kind of multi-man matches at WrestleMania, not just as a way to squeeze everyone on the card, but I like multi-person IC ladder matches anyway. I think they're quite fun. The Money in the Bank, of course, used to be at WrestleMania originally as well, so for me, yeah, this is one of those things I'm holding on to on WrestleMania weekend as something that I really hope delivers, and they usually do. So, thoughts on this match overall?
I will say, firstly, 3 luchas is hard to pick which one I want. Obviously, we've got Ray, which is obviously the original. Penta is the, I guess he's the guy that you've always wanted to see. And then we've got Dragon Lee, who everyone, Rey Mysterio dubbed is to be the next Rey Mysterio. To have that anyway is phenomenal. I love when Mexican wrestlers, or even not even just Mexican, but when wrestlers are used the right way and they're not just stereotypes. As in, for example, do you remember when we had it was kind of like an LWO, but the Mexicals.
Yeah.
And he come out and and Super Crazy was amazing, and he come out on so it was just it's such wasted talent, and the Lucha House Party were great, and then they come out with like pinatas and I hate it, but the fact that we're getting 3 guys all luchas and they're being put on
very different luchas as well. Yeah, their characters. I think Dragon Lee is probably the least defined out of the 3 of them, but he's still an interesting character that I think has got over quite well over the past few years and has had some great performances himself. So, I'm really looking forward to this one. Like those 3 guys involved. I mean, Javon Evans is really exciting. Rusev is good because it breaks things up. It's not the same character all the time. And Jaden McDonough as well. It'd be interesting seeing him in this scenario. So yes, man, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it is hard to pick. I mean, it's been one of those where it's been done on the interest of like fairness and competition and everybody just getting along, right? Apart from Rusev being a nutter, but you've got basically Penta jumping up and down because Rey Mysterio is in the match, because they're trying to be like, oh, hero. Usually that would play into like a heel turn, but Rey ain't turning heel, is he? But
imagine.
But I just think it's a respect thing, and then you've got a little bit of like the heels on the outside with JD and Rusev here as well. But man, as far as I know, a lot of people saying Javon Evans, it would just shake things up and it'd be a great result. It'd be really interesting. I think Javon's great. I just don't see him as like Intercontinental champion just yet. I think there's more to do before you give him that spot. Like it's still very early. I mean, it took Penta nearly a year to become Intercontinental champion, and people thought he might do it within about a month. People thought he'd do it after last year's WrestleMania. He'd beat Dom or something like that, and it pretty much took him a year to get to it. So, I think it might be a bit too soon, but it'd be a feel good moment. So I'd be pleased with that either way. I think we might have lost Rob there, so let's... have we still got him? Have we still got Rob? Let's see. I'll see if Rob can come back in just a minute, but before that, let's... All right, let's let him jump out for a minute. I think we might have lost him for a little bit, but hopefully we're getting back in a sec. Oh, there we go. He's in the background. He's back. Don't worry, guys. Do not fear. We'll bring him back in just a moment. But again, I think it might be a little bit too soon for Javon Evans, and that's not saying I don't enjoy him. I think it would be a feel-good moment, but maybe a little bit too soon there. Too soon to lose you, Rob. I'm glad we got you back, mate. But
literally, you started talking, and when you have one of these moments when something's live, and you're like, I don't know who it cut out. So I felt like if I start talking, I'm talking over you. It was weird. So I was trying to hold silence, and then there was nothing. I was like, oh, no.
It's me. Yeah, no, I was the same. I was talking. I was like, am I talking to no one? Am I gone?
Am I the problem?
But who do we think's winning this one then, mate? I think it's a tough one to pick, but I think the safest bet might be keep it on Penta.
Yeah, weirdly, I think that is the safest bet, right? I mean, if you look at by process of someone always gets a big elimination or someone kind of gets taken out in a crazy way.
Yeah.
I'm. It's going to sound really horrible the way I say this. Weirdly, I want it to be Javon Evans, but because he's got he can pun intended, he can literally bounce back, right? With how great he is in the ring and how loved he is, and he's only young still, but because he's so small in terms of frame, I want to see him kind of be the one that's taken out, because I think that's going to be the most believable in this aspect. Normally, you get someone, and when we had Shelton Benjamin before in the Money in the Bank, went through the ladders and that was it. He was out. We had Chelsea Green go through the 4 tables, and then they take someone out, and that's a great way to do it. I think with these, Rusev doing it, being the thickest guy, taking out Javon Evans, I think would be insane.
Yeah, a big power move from
there's
Rusev.
something there for that after,
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good little feud to go into after.
But yeah, weirdly, like even the build, as you said, the build's been fun. You know, people have been giddy that Ray's going to be in it, and you know, Dragon is going to be in it. Like as you said, it's been really pally, other than the two heels. But Rusev has been the only one that looks believable, like he actually cares about winning the title, whereas everyone else seems excited about.
They're in it for just have a laugh. Let's all just have a nice little match together. But you're right, Rusev's like I want the gold, guys.
Yeah, I think if we're not keeping it on Penta, technically Ray doesn't need it. Dragon Lee, I don't know how the reaction will be. I feel there needs to be something a little more there. He's kind of in that Callisto phase where if you win the title, great, but okay, you're going to win it. You win the title, you know. And I don't want it to be that. I want whoever wins it. There's got to be a key moment. JD McDonough doesn't need it right now. I think the safest bet, if you're not keeping it on Penta, give it to Rusev. Because I think Rusev can go on a huge destruction spree.
I feel like that might disappoint people because like the non-high flyer wins it, and Rusev's been a bit stop-start since he come back. I mean, he come back a year ago anyway, so like it's been a bit up and down really his return. But I think there's so much potential with Rusev. Like if him winning it, like could be good, and again him being the different kind of different stylistically in this match, I think could be good as well. But I think it might annoy people because I think people won't be sure if they're going to commit to Rusev and what we're going to get from a Rusev title run. That they might look at that combined with him being an only non-high flyer in this, and go, really, you had a ladder match with all these guys in, and he's the one that won it. But I think it could play into their advantage. But I just don't know if there was going to be a negative backlash because people were kind of concerned. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like JD, maybe depending on the dynamics of the Judgment Day after WrestleMania, you know, because if the Judgment Day starts stripping down and maybe Liv does turn eventually and Finn's well and truly gone, and JD somehow becomes like the big shot in the stable, you know, because he's the one with the gold, then that'd be an interesting way to do it, because he was kind of, you know, the apprentice is now kind of taken over essentially. But but I'm with you. I think like taking it off, I think the most likely to become a new champion is, unless it's just for the moment, maybe Rey Mysterio, and they take it off him in a few days. But like I think if they're going to change the title holder, I think it's either going to be Javon Evans because they see big things in him and it'd be a big positive babyface pop, or Rusev because they've got a actual story they're going to give him. Other than that, again, I don't see the need in taking it off Penta. I'm with you with Dragon Lee as well. I think if Dragon Lee was in a one-on-one match, it would mean so much more if he beat someone. If he beat a heel, basically, if he like beat Dominik Mysterio, who was champ, it would mean a lot. But him like pulling the title down as these other stars that people like more, and again, no offense to Dragon Lee, but at the moment Penta is the bigger star, Javon is the shiny new toy, Rey Mysterio is the legend, you know. So I think those other baby faces are going to be looking up at a guy and it's going to look a little odd for people to accept Dragon Lee to be the winner out of those four baby faces. I think it's a risky move for that reason. So I'm going to go with Penta keeping the title.
Okay, I'm going Rusev, as much as obviously repping a luchador esque look. Like, you know, if anyone gets it, I mean, to be fair, I think if anyone was to get it, as you said, Javon Evans having that big WrestleMania moment, the huge pop, everyone, the crowd losing their minds, I can see it happening. But there's also other time he's still young, whereas someone like Rusev,
for me, this is Javon's. Like the moment, we've said it a few times on this channel, but sometimes the moment is the moment. It's WrestleMania. It's being in a ladder match and having the spots, like, and the titles come later. So,
I'm going Rusev. Right.
Cool. Yeah, I'm tempted to go Rusev as well, but I've settled on Penta now. Let's get some more of these comments here. Sorry?
He looked like a monster when he was just taking everyone out. Man, that's a Rusev that you can get behind and think, do you know what?
I mean, it's set up to make him look good, because again, he stands out so much in this match. City Clothes and Co says, I would love to see Penta retain the title, in my opinion, for me, but love Rey Mysterio for loving the match. To also watch Javon Evans, I'm looking forward to this match. Me too, buddy. Also says, and Dragon Lee in this match as well, but I love Dragon Lee, Javon, Ray, JD, and Penta retain. I'm going for in this one. This match will be fire. Yeah, I completely agree. I think this, I think me and Rob would agree here. This is probably one of the most exciting matches of the entire weekend, just because it has a lot of potential to be exciting, because hey, it's a gimmick match and they're usually quite fun. Let's move into the next one though. Two guys that you might have seen in that type of match ordinarily. Of course, they are instead fighting one-on-one, and they are fighting for the other mid-card championship. It's Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. Now, when I look at the graphic, I think, man, cool. I like Sami Zayn. I like Trick Williams. But the problem is, what the heck are they doing with the booking? Like, they've made Sami Zayn sort of a bad guy, but not really. Like, what's the point? Why have they done this?
I hate doing certain comparisons, right? And you may disagree, and that's fine. Obviously, it's a a free thing when we're discussing this kind of thing. Not everyone is an opinion. Everyone's got one. Doesn't mean it's right. Okay. I enjoyed them leaning into the fans didn't want it to be Sami. I'm not against that. The fans pick, this is our person. This is who we're going with right now. Once you've done your stuff and you're not really who you were at the start, we're going to move to someone else. Seth Rollins has had this for years, right? We're now kind of getting into it with Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn isn't the underdog anymore. We're bored of Sami being this underdog. And I hate to say it, but Sami Zayn with a kind of embracing the hate and stuff is giving me some Kevin Nash vibes. With the, I'm the guy, but you don't like it. And do you know what I mean? Like, and it's not a bad thing, because you can be an asshole and still look good doing it. And that's not to say that Kevin Nash done that, because that's another story. However, I think Sami leaning into it and embracing this hate and being like, well, don't like me then. And I really like it, because whoever beats him now is going to get a bigger pop when they beat him. And it's
only if he fully goes heel though.
Yeah, but I think it's going to happen. I think it's already naturally. It's been happening for like a year.
I think it's too early. Like, and
even
I mean, there's an argument for a double turn here. I know a lot of people are thinking that might be the case, and that's maybe how they subtly do it. But like for me, like. I've said it years in a row now. Like, Sami Zayn, and this was another opportunity to do it. Sami Zayn should have been winning a world title at this WrestleMania. That's the way I see it. I'm so sick of him holding mid card titles. Like, it's the same story all the time. And yeah, all right, you could say this is a different one because they're toying around with Sami being sort of a bad guy. But like, I don't think the payoff's here. Yeah, if they're going to turn him heel. Again, why that annoys me is because it delays that. Like, they've missed that opportunity of the. I know what you're saying. Like, the underdog stories run out. Like, but it didn't have to. So maybe that's what I'm just more annoyed about. Like it didn't peak. It didn't have to peak. It should have.
Really? You don't like?
Yeah. He should have been world champion. He should have become world champion.
I would say, and I say this obviously because like you don't want to bring politics and stuff into it, right? But I would say the moment. His underdog moment, and his biggest underdog moment, was when he was back in Saudi and he done his intro there. After that, Sami Zayn is just Sami Zayn. He's just another guy in terms of he's no longer an underdog. He finally went back to a country that he couldn't perform in, and he had that crazy I think it was Ramadan last year where he done like 45 minutes, and he had fasted in that time. So we'd heard and seen and this build of Sami being this underdog, being this guy, building, and they didn't pull the rug on him, right? No, they didn't pull the trigger and let him do it. Instead, they pulled the rug. But now it's like, okay, we're Sami Zayn. We know he can go. It's like having Rey Mysterio now as an underdog. It wouldn't make sense. Javon Evans would be.
Yeah, you can only be an underdog for so long. But
Daniel Bryan was only an underdog for so long. Once he won that world title the second time, he was the planet's champion. That wasn't an underdog. That was a completely different shift in character. Yeah. Even when he won it at AEW in the UK, even against it was Swerve, right? And they'd done this whole thing and that was his crowning moment. He still wasn't an underdog there either. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think wrestlers have a certain period of just being this underdog, and if you run it for too long, people stop caring. And people stop caring
Oh
when,
yeah, hundred
when they
percent.
wanted it to be Chad
The
Gable.
last bit of it that they could have done is in win the Rumble in Saudi and then win at WrestleMania, or lose the Rumble in Saudi, win at the Chamber, get to WrestleMania. That's what they could have done. And it is the argument that next year it's in Saudi. Maybe they come back to it there, but I think it'd be a crying shame if, when he hangs up his boots, he's not been a world champion in WWE. And what makes it even worse is that they missed the opportunity, like at its peak. You could argue the peak was the Roman Reigns one, and they had something else going on with Cody, who didn't finish the story that year anyway. But then you go for the next best thing. Like, I hated how they treated him winning the IC title for Gunther as if he had won the world title. Like, we'd seen it, and I've said it on this channel many times before. I said it at the time. I was annoyed that he won that, because I was annoyed that they were treating it like he'd won the big one, as if he'd not been multiple time IC champ before, if he'd not held 2 IC titles once before. Like, it's so frustrating when they miss this opportunity. So now, all right, that's done. We're telling a different story now. So he kind of needs to just commit. Are we going heel with him or not? And it's tough as well, because on the other side you've got Trick Williams, who people want to cheer. You got Little Yachty's going to be in his corner as well, so that'll surely play into it in some way. City Close and Co says, "I'm sorry, but Trick Williams has to win the US title. And booking doesn't make sense in my opinion. But I've funny Sami is going over at Mania when you add Little Yachty's tricks in the corner as well. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think." It's weird though, isn't it? Because I'm saying, like, Javon, who's coming at the same time, isn't ready for the IC title. But
Really? Oh, okay, sorry.
But I'm saying that I'm probably going to say that I do think Trick Williams should be US champ.
Yeah, but then I guess that's an aura thing, isn't it? It's that, for example, that's looking at Brock Lesnar should never be an IC champ or US champion. He'll only ever be a world champion. It's the same thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like you would have someone like Trick Williams has enough potential there to be a Grand Slam champ, and then just like Cena did, drop back down and become an IC title, or a US champion, make it mean something. Whereas Brock couldn't do that. I mean, I'd love to see it happen, but Brock wouldn't have done that.
Maybe, he ain't hanging up his boots just yet. You never know.
I
think you're right. There's that aura around Trick Williams, and even though I'm probably more entertained by what Javon does in the ring, like in this match that we talked about a moment ago, with the IC title ladder match, I think that'll be really exciting. I think, like you say, there is that aura, and I think people like champion. He's a champion already, like putting that gold underneath that big white fluffy coat. I think it's gonna have such a look to it, So I can see him winning this title.
I can. I hope it happens. He's who I want to win. I must say as well, one of the things I'm really looking forward to is, when you get wrestlers have their entrances and they have these moments and things like that, And again, I think the idea of Trick Williams kind of coming out on one of those spinny, what they call the spin plate, like a Lazy Susan, just turning round, and then as it happens, you just see the coat, all the aura, and then you just see the entire WrestleMania just singing "Whoop That Trick."
It's gonna look great. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's potential here for some really cool shots with his entrance. I mean, there's going to be so much hype around him, and again, because people are starting to turn against Sami, so maybe it's a smart thing. People want to cheer Trick Willie, and they're doing it by allowing Sami to kind of play into that by being a bit of a bad guy. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, what I think would be nice. Again, I don't like doing certain comparisons, but let's go back to Rock Hogan, right? Where, I mean, they said that they called in a ring where they didn't decide who was heel, who was face. I mean, they both were loved at that point by fans, and I would say, kind of directly, Sami Zayn still is, but I think people are just getting bored. But I think people would still like to sing along to his song and things like that. So I think the safer thing would be let the crowd decide during the match who's going to be heel.
Yeah.
And
I think that might be where they go with it.
That's the safest bet, man. And then from there, I don't think they'd call an audible, but if they did, call it as an audible. So if the fans are rooting for Sami, overall
That's who
Sami
wins.
at the moment. Like, and I think that's the safest bet for this, because if you go one way, that way you lean into the crowd are kind of dictating, well, here's our bad guy, here's our good guy. And because it's a Mania, I think that's a good way to go, okay, this is going to happen. The match is planned this way. The finish is either going to be this or it's going to be this. We're going to tell the ref and we're going to call it in the ring. I think that's
I do. It'd be an interesting way to do it. I do, because it'll be more like organic, you know. But I do wonder
100%.
if they turn Trick face on the night, at least if it would be like Dominik. Dominik was like last year, everybody cheered Dominik winning, but he went back to being a bad guy pretty quickly. I wonder if Trick Williams would be the same, or if they'd commit to an actual babyface term. The other thing we've got to factor into this as well is Carmelo Hayes. I mean, Carmelo Hayes was, you know, taken out of the match, you know, because Sami won it and was a bit kind of, and this is how Sami's been playing into being a bit of a bad guy anyway. But I don't think Carmelo's strong enough as a babyface for people to go, yes, he's come to stop Sami Zayn, you know, like and Sami Zayn's strong as a heel. Or is it about keeping Trick Williams a heel and then Carmelo versus Trick, just like they had in NXT, but with a different spin?
Yeah, I think that's the route we go. I say keep Carmelo completely away from this. And I think, you know, honestly, the best thing you could do is if Trick wins, have Carmelo come out. Have Carmelo and celebrate with him. You know, and solidify a face turn here, right? And have that happen. Solidify as a face turn. Have them celebrate. And this time, have them have this build. And Trick then turns on Carmelo and returns the favour. Because
I mean, they could even do that on the night. They could make Trick
have them celebrate and then whack him after.
Yeah, so Trick wins kind of in a babyface-ish way, and to get us there, Sami's been really, really dastardly, right? So people were like, you know what? And then Carmelo comes out and it reminds the audience, man, Sami's been a bit of a, you know, twat for a while, you know, and Carmelo's going, you know what? We've got history, and then the commentators can really play into that. They go, these guys, you know, they've fought against each other, but they've been friends as well in NXT, and like they've, you know, and it looks like two good guys embracing each other, and then Trick turns on Carmelo straight away, and then it goes into a storyline there, and then you kind of get the best of both worlds, and then Sami goes off weirdly and becomes a heel on his own anyway, but then you got new directions all over the place, so maybe that's the best way to go about it. But yeah, look, I mean, to be honest, it's not the most exciting match, I didn't think anyway, but we've sat here and predicted quite a few interesting possible outcomes. So again, hopefully, but you know, the annoying thing is when you come out of a PLE and you're like, man, we talked about all these different outcomes and it was all the same old stuff. So hopefully that's not the case, but this one does have potential to throw some interesting stories out there as well. Let's move in now though to the main event of WrestleMania Sunday. Before we do that, just a reminder, you are watching the WrestleMania weekend kickoff show from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We are recording this on Friday night, just a few hours before SmackDown and before WWE do their kickoff show, which we'll be covering on this channel as well. If you are watching this as part of a replay on the build-up show, then stay tuned. We'll have a live section for that. We go live on the night of each PLE and get you hyped up and in the mood. And something I want to talk about on the build-up shows, Rob, is you kind of touched on a little bit there, but special entrances. You know, I want to talk about surprises, special entrances. We'll talk last minute rumors. So again, if you haven't already, subscribe and make sure you tune in for the build-up show. But let's talk about the main event for night 2. WrestleMania Sunday is looking likely to close with CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And once again, Rob, this is another example of a feud where I've gone, oh, I like this one. Oh, what'd they do that for? Oh, why are they doing that? Why, again, just like the Sami Zayn one, why was CM Punk acting like a bad guy by being mean about someone's dad? It was so unnecessary. And now he said, sorry about what I said about your dad the other day. I'm really sorry about that. Like, why have they gone back on it? Now, I know they did this kind of, I respect you, and actually, I'm a bit jealous of this. And then, oh, that's funny, because I respect you, and I'm a bit jealous of this. And then they both turned into, actually, no, I hate you again. I know Roman Reigns has done that kind of scathing promo in the back of a car. So, again, there are things about it that I like, but, like, in the early days, I know it's tough when you've got two baby faces. There are people naturally booing Punk because they're big Roman fans, and Punk did that thing at MSG where he was like, it says wrestling on the marquee, and he was having to go at the fans and, you know, not cinema or whatever it was. So there were good elements to it. They were kind of in my opinion playing into the fact that some people were like one good guy and some people were like the other good guy. But then it felt like they were turning CM Punk heel, and I thought, well, all right, maybe they should just commit to this then, because I think out of the two of them, naturally, Roman Reigns is more of the heel at the moment. He's more of the kind of cocky bad guy. Yeah, because he is just still Roman Reigns the bad guy. He's not playing up to the fans like CM Punk is. You know, CM Punk is more of a traditional babyface. Roman Reigns is kind of like, you like me, and I'm not as mean to the guys that you like as much as I used to be. You know, like he's not going against Cody, he's not going against Sami, he's not, you know, ruling the whole company with the bloodline. He's getting by as a decent guy, but I think when push comes to shove, he is kind of still a bit of a naughty geezer, right? Whereas CM Punk is a good guy, right? And they decided to make CM Punk look like a bad guy, but then they didn't pull the trigger on it. So what was the point? Unless they were going to go full force with it, I really don't understand why they've done it. Just to pull back on it anyway. Now, that being said, this is, again, an example of marquee match. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, marquee match. I'm a little bit annoyed that they already did it last year with Seth Rollins, and now they've taken Rollins out of it, and they're doing it again. You could say they're milking it and getting more out of the situation, and it's a new dynamic. Yeah, you could, and it's been a story that's a long time coming, because the famous War Games thing where Roman put his arm in a way and all that stuff, and Punk kind of having this history of famously, in real life, being annoyed about Roman being the golden boy. There's a big story here, don't get me wrong, and a long history between them. And maybe it is awkward to tell when they're both good guys, but I just think it's kind of muddied the waters in a weird way. But that's not to say I'm not looking forward to it. I think it is still a big match that will be exciting. As far as the winner goes, Rob, I think Roman Reigns should win it. I know there's the whole argument of like, but what if he's not around? What if he's a part-time champion and all that? I still think, though, much like with the women's IC title, and much like with the women's tag titles, when you've got teams like the Bellas and who've never won it and never had the opportunity, and now they're back. You've got Becky Lynch, who came back, and the IC title wasn't around when she was kind of coming up. So they're kind of going in reverse. They're winning these mid-card titles and whatever else. This is still, the lineage is confusing. Is it the World Heavyweight Championship from the past? Is it not? But in some ways, it's a new title. I think putting that gold around the waist of Roman Reigns makes that belt look good and makes that belt look credible. So I think it's positive for the championship. Is it positive for the championship if he's not around a lot? You could argue no. But generally speaking, I think it's positive for the championship. Then you get the other side of, but if Roman gets it and he's not around for a lot of time, he can't have it for long, right? Who beats him? Does that make Roman look weak? Because he can't go as long as he did before, but he can't go too short. So that's a risky move as well. But to freshen things up, I actually think giving it to Roman Reigns is the better thing to do, which is insane. If I could hear myself say this 10 years ago, that I think you should take the title for CM Punk and give it to Roman Reigns, I'd be thinking, Scott, what the heck? What alternative universe have you woke up in? But since then, Punk is a legendary figure now. Roman Reigns is become, this incredible new version of himself the past 5 or 6 years anyway. So I'm at peace with that. But I do find it bizarre that I would never have said something like this 10, 12 years ago. And I think that plays into it as well. Like that, I think it'd be so ironic if CM Punk eventually, after all this stuff in real life, and what he said in Colt Cabana's podcast back in the day, which I get and I sympathize with him, if at the very end of it, things are so hunky-dory backstage with CM Punk and WWE, that he actually goes, you know what, it is the right thing to do, put Roman Reigns over. Like, in the end, it all ends with how it began, with Roman Reigns being the golden boy, and CM Punk not quite living up to it. Like, it's not actually that, because Punk's had this incredible run since he's come back, and he's got his flowers, but it is a bit ironic, right, if Roman Reigns wins this one.
No, I know what you mean. Like, in terms of, it's weird. Like, again, in terms of the booking, as you said, like, is Punk the bad guy in this? Is he not, or is he just being Punk? Because again, you got to look at it from a thing of when Punk cut the first pipe bomb. Yes, he was a heel, but fans started cheering from that pipe bomb. By the time he'd left Money in the Bank, fans loved him.
Yeah.
So, are we just getting? Is that just a generic CM Punk promo, and he's doing what he does best? And playing your weaknesses because he knows that in mind games. Because he done the same thing with Cena. Do you know? So again, how do you book it? At the same time, as you said, Roman said he's not a bad guy, he's not a good guy, he's the guy. So you know, and that was, you know, one of the big promos that he done before. I think maybe before he was a champ, or he became a champ, and then that was.
Was it after he beat Undertaker?
It may have been, no, because he said I run this yard now, so it may have been around about that time. But I do feel there is a crossover there. But even then, you know, like I don't understand what we're doing with. You put two people that are better faces and fan favorites to either side, and then you make the fans pick, and then you have to pick a heel from that. You know, it's just really weird. There's no mutual respect there, even though I feel like there is mutual respect there because they're envy and jealous of each other, but they don't, and they admit that, but they don't want to like each other about it. It's strange, man. Like it's
like two teenagers flirting. Like, what the heck's going on?
It's like watching Ross and Rachel trying to figure their stuff out in Friends. This is literally what it feels like. Were they on a break or not? So yeah, I don't know, man. It just feels so like it's like a muddied water situation, and I don't know if I like it or not. And I think that's half of my problem. Because when we were discussing it, there's two matches that I'm really looking forward to that we've discussed. And the rest, it feels like it's a lot of fluff. Like, for me, the big moment here is CM Punk actually main eventing WrestleMania. Everything else around it is, you know, it's just background noise. The main thing here is Punk is about to main event Mania. Literally main event at the end of Mania, the final match. Yeah. Something he hasn't done. And last time he done it, as you said, there was a third person involved. This time, it's just him. So if he wins, he gets his moment. Or, as you said, does he do what's right and we full circle this moment and he puts over Roman? Do you class it as putting over Roman? Or
it's not like Roman's a new star now, though, is he?
Exactly.
You know, he doesn't need it in that sense.
Exactly.
So do you allow over the championship? You know, you're doing it's good for the title if Roman wins the title.
Okay, so let's class it as Punk has to do one or two things. He can either have his moment and win at Mania and have his full I won at Mania, I headlined, I won moment, or we have Punk do the other thing for the title and having headline WrestleMania, but he loses because it's a good lineage for the title. The question is, which one do we want more? And I think that's how you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I feel weird saying it, but I think Roman Reigns should beat CM Punk for the title. We can worry about what it means in the end later, but which is crazy. Like, Punk's been champ for a while now, so like, I'm alright with it. Like, if this was CM Punk going into face Roman Reigns as the challenger, I'd be completely the other side of the fence. I'd be saying I want CM Punk to win.
So if you spin it on his head and put it the other way, would you say whoever the challenger is in this scenario has to win because it's good for the title?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, it's good for Roman as well because, like, as much as we say, like, again, we've given examples in the past. Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair in the women's division, for example, like, not always being champion. John Cena for many, many years, he was in that position, and that's what we don't want that to be with some of these stars. Then you got on the men's side, like, it'd be nice for Cody to move away from the title for a bit. He did that, you know, in his feud with Brock last year, year before and whatever. It's nice for the fact that Randy Orton hasn't been involved in the title picture for so many years because as fresh as it is now, it wasn't fresh for quite a while. So, so I've wanted that with Roman and we've got that with Roman. But at the same time, the argument is, but eventually they've got to get back there eventually, right? So if Roman doesn't win another title, like he's had a successful career, don't get me wrong. But how long can he stay around for and be a main attraction and never be champion, right? You could argue, right, the Undertaker's streak, at least he had the streak, he was in his own thing, separate at WrestleMania. Yeah. If someone comes back as a legend, that is their thing at WrestleMania. They don't need to be involved with the title. I completely get that. But I don't think Roman's quite at that level just yet where he's going to be dipping out just for WrestleMania each year. I think he's still going to do a few things sprinkled out throughout the year. And if that's the case, then they need to keep him or bring him back to the point where he is a threat again. And he is. I know some people will be annoyed by that, but at the same time, like, again, if he doesn't win it, like, when was the last time what, 2 years ago. Like, how you can't go on forever coming back going, I'm back, and things are going to change around here, and then
I mean, that's just a generic Roman promo, isn't
it? Yeah, and then all right, I didn't do it. See you later. And then 4 months later, I'm back. You know, like at some point you got to win. So, yeah, for that reason, I think weirdly enough, Roman Reigns needs to win the title. So I can't believe I'm saying
it's
this.
strange, isn't it? See, I'm on the opposite because as much as I think the title is great, and it looks nice, I don't like the idea that we brought back a title with a separate lineage, where if it's a separate thing, like let's say for example they say in a couple of years' time, oh no, it's connected to the world title. Then if that's the case, the conversation we're having, it was like, oh well, Punk may as well have won it then, because he does nothing for the title then.
But at the same time, did Roman ever hold the old version of the world title? I think he only ever held the WWE and the Universal.
I don't think he did. He had the WWE Universal. Yeah.
Yeah. So even still, even if they use the old lineage, like.
So in this aspect, technically, Roman isn't a Grand Slam.
Now we're opening another can of worms.
So, but do you know what I mean? If that's the case,
the universe don't exist.
Technically, that's
you just need a world title, though, don't you? That's all it is.
Well, if there's 2 world titles, you need to have both world titles and then both the mid cards.
Yeah, but that's like when there's different versions, isn't it? There's different versions of like.
I guess so. But if you include this and it's a separate title, and it's not a world title,
you want to win every active title, right? So, yeah.
I think again, depends how you look
for it.
So I mean, look, I think I would like to see personally. I would like it to be Punk wins because Roman can do his back thing again. Whereas at the same time, Punk has done a lot recently, and he's worked a lot, very hard. We've not heard any backstage, policing and politics and all that stuff. It seems like he goes there. He wants to help with NXT, so this is a different Punk. So I think if you've got a mutual respect with Punk and Triple H, I think maybe there's a lot there that I think that we won't see. So if Punk was to, take the pin, I think there's a reason there, and I think it's more of a we're going to build it for this. So look, I think this. I can't choose. I really can't choose because I would actually I can. I think I want it to be Punk. However, if Roman wins, I don't know. I don't like this idea of Roman winning because what's the point? Like I don't see the point in Roman. winning.
I know there needs to be more. Like I just want the picture of Roman holding that title to make that me and this kind of full circle moment. But any other time, I'd want Punk to win for like.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's very strange, but. Like,
I'm going Punk.
Again, there are so many ways to go.
I'm going Punk.
We haven't even talked about the fact there could be, as there tend to be quite often in Roman Reigns matches, some sort of shenanigans here. There could be someone get involved and all that. So, but again, we'll dive deeper into that on the build-up show on Sunday night as we get closer to it. Again, if you're watching live, we are recording this on Friday night, just as our weekend kickoff show. We'll also be doing a live watch-along for the WWE's WrestleMania kickoff show in a little bit as well, so stay tuned for that. If you're watching this as a part of the replay section that is playing on the build-up show, then stay tuned. We'll be live on the night of both Saturday and Sunday, breaking down the card in more detail and talking last-minute rumors. We'll be talking about things like WrestleMania entrances and the stage, injury rumors. We've already touched on a little bit of that tonight as well. Hopefully it'll be a bit clearer once we get into the weekend itself. So make sure you tune in for that. This is the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And again, you are watching the weekend kickoff show. Let's get to some more of these comments before we wrap up, Rob, and then, as I say, we'll be back for the kickoff. We've got City's Close and Coast. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns is going to be a good match, but why is it last? I get it, but can't just the promos between the two was played out. It was a bit boring for me. It needs to be something in the one. Got a bit tired of the promos between these two, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, but this has to deliver. I think it will deliver. I hope. Also said, but we're loving Roman Reigns to win the title, but Punk coming out on Monday Night Raw, Fallout Raw the next night after WrestleMania, but really strange bookings segment between the two. I was okay with Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble in 2026. I forgot that was the whole way we got here. Oh my gosh. but didn't really have a massive problem with him winning it. I do like Roman Reigns. I'm looking forward to this match though, and also the only thing it does CM Punk win is if Roman isn't sticking around. That's the only way I see CM Punk retaining. But I don't think Punk will be sticking around. Yeah, again, whether or not Roman goes away, I know. Look, he's going to be promoting Street Fighter, so there's one argument to say he's going away. There's another argument to say put it on a red carpet, you know. So they're going to be tempted to deal with that in both ways as well. But
especially as well. Sorry, just to jump on what you're saying. If we've got Cody there and he's got a title, and you've got Roman and he's got a title, and then two of their world champions are in the film, it does look good for the company. And as you know, they love to get a bit of PR with, let's have this person, Jason Momoa, hold the title. Let's have it. So there is that, especially with if you have Momoa,
at least one of them. That's a good point. Yeah. It's not often that they've got two megastars in a film
in the same film.
So very interesting.
Sorry, just to go on though.
Go on.
What Sooty was saying, I completely forgot Roman won the Rumble.
Same.
Because it felt.
What does that mean? Does that mean it worked? Yeah. I can't even remember how I felt at the time, which probably means I didn't like it.
But it's crazy to think that obviously he'd done that. He'd picked his challenger. And that was it. And again, I guess this is something that we can kind of moan and go on a tangent about. But a one Rumble winner, and yes, they headlined finally. Someone that's won the Royal Rumble finally goes on to main event WrestleMania, because sometimes that isn't the case at all. Especially in terms of the women. Jay, he won the Rumble, didn't headline Mania. That annoyed me. But again, it felt like they'd won the Rumble, and normally the person that wins the Rumble is
it's all about the Rumble.
I've got this. It's about the Rumble. This is this title. Like, if we go back to, let's say, my favourite probably Rumble 2001. I know it's the hardcore Rumble. It's not the greatest one, but 2001.
I love it.
Austin won, and then the big build was from there. Obviously, we had Armageddon of that 2000 build all the way round. I thought it was perfect. It was a really good build. It made sense. The finish, the line the story was there about him winning his title again. This time it feels like the title is second fiddle to these two guys. They just want to beat each other. They want to hurt each other verbally. Yeah. So again, this could have been done without a title. I think it still would have felt great. So
again, last year it kind of was, and the story they did was the Seth turn and the Roman Reigns, the Paul Heyman stuff. So I guess it does add a new element to it, but as you say, it kind of does feel like the title's playing second fiddle, especially when we forget the fact that someone won the Royal Rumble to create it. Didn't need to win. And we always say that about the Rumble, right? It's annoying when that person doesn't need it, but because I reckon they would have just, if Roman came out on Raw and challenged Punk, this match would have probably happened. So anyway, look, I'm looking forward to it either way. I'm looking forward to WrestleMania as a whole. We are getting much closer to it now. As I say, this has been your weekend kickoff. We'll be live again very, very soon, guys. So make sure you subscribe and keep an eye on the channel for when the stream pops up as well. As I say, you've been watching the weekend kickoff, which we do on the evening of a PLE. And we've also, again, we'll be back for the watch-along for WWE's kickoff as well. And then we'll have the build-up show on night 1. And then we'll also have the build-up show on night 2 for WrestleMania. Hopefully hitting you with an instant reaction review. Got another comment now. I had a feeling this was Casper. It is Casper. I'm a regular on the channel. I'm Casper. Normally in the chat, just let you know, I switched out my pro. I was thinking, even the Sooty now, I was like, sorry, I've seen that before. And I was thinking, is this Casper? Well, some of your... Casper, if you had said something along the lines of, I love Becky Lynch, I would have known exactly who it was then. But thanks for tuning in, Casper. Appreciate you as always. Rob, thank you for joining me as well. It's been great chatting WrestleMania with you. Of course, you've mainly joined us for the night 2 stuff, but hopefully over this weekend we'll get your opinions on night 1 as well. Again, thank you to everyone that's tuned in live or on demand, or if you're watching this as part of the replay section on the build-up show before we go live on the night of the PLE itself. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Cheers.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.